Them a guy on to rule them only one night stand. Because me and my woman, we done make a plan. Boom, all them a rush me, they said them a lust. So me and the girl man, and I like the comfort, the girl sweet. And me I tell you that she fine, and only me alone gonna make a love light shine. The girl sweet. And me I tell you that she fine, and only me alone gonna make a love light shine. Only me alone, be pon the girl mine. Only me alone, make a love light shine. Only me alone, be pon the girl mine. Only me alone, make a love light shine.
She don't let nobody,
no, no.
She don't let nobody, nobody but me. Nobody but me, love. So she don't let nobody,
no, no.
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 She don't let nobody, She don't let nobody, nobody but me. Nobody but me, love. See, I don't worry 'cause we're so tight. See each other most every night. She had give me the master key. Why I kiss her explicitly. She don't let nobody,
No, no.
She don't let nobody, nobody but me. Nobody but me, love.
Watch the rider. Them a guy on to rule them only one night stand. Because me and my woman, we done make a plan. Boom, all them a rush me, they say them a lust. So me and the girl man, and I like the comfort, the girl sweet. And me I tell you that she fine, and only me alone gonna make a love light shine. The girl sweet. And me I tell you that she fine, and only me alone gonna make a love light shine. Only me alone, be pon the girl mine. Only me alone, make a love light shine. Only me alone, be pon the girl mine. Only me alone, make a love light shine.
She don't let nobody,
No, no.
She don't let nobody, nobody but me. Nobody but me, love. She don't let nobody,
No, no.
She don't let nobody,
No, no.
She don't let nobody,
No, no.
She don't let nobody.
No, 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 no. No.
She don't let nobody,
No, no.
She don't let nobody,
No, 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 no.
She don't let nobody,
No, no.
She don't let nobody,
No, 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 no.
She don't let nobody, nobody but me, nobody but me, love.
Only me alone, be pon the girl mine. Only me alone, make a love light shine. Only me alone, be pon the girl mine. Only me alone, make a love light shine. They say no wanna rush, but them try get bust. And only me alone gonna make a love up. But them guy out to rude, them a rush and a lust. But me lick a girl, she not love the mix up.
She don't let nobody, She don't let
KUAMFM Hagatna, Guam. You're listening to The Link with Chris and Sabrina on Breeze 93.9.
Die sombra zelten meg, et zu te saluda, antes Dio niga, razzaus en malaches frezas, durante in todo in memu. A no distancia, como cupo malu Zangiman malak guafi Ikonum nasugi airi Prebatula noci Nai banderata gaigi Pues atan fanny bandera Kau esta pagua pumalalapa Giluk tanu man libri Sentami ti man ko badi
Fanogi chamoru Politanota Kanzai matsuno Nyagi toru iluga Paraiona Parai gloria A big isla sen para Paraiona, Parai gloria, viva islas el para. Toru y tempo y paz, paraíso, zangin y lani na bendición. It's up to you what you wanna do in this lonely summer night. Just make sure that it's worth the while and that it feels alright. All good vibes. It's alright, everything will be okay. When the sunrise, dark turns to light. Even when nothing is going your way. When the sun sets, don't get upset. So won't you fly, oh, It's up to you what you wanna do in this lonely summer night. Just make sure that it's worth the while and that it feels alright. All good vibes. So won't you fly, so won't you fly, so won't you fly, so won't you fly. So won't you fly over me, over me?
Good morning, Guam. Huh, good morning, hump day. Good morning.
Good morning and top of the morning to ya.
Oh, that's what.
Who's not wearing green on this lovely St. Patrick's? Oh boy, oh I am. I shouldn't.
You got a little green on you, Jay, in your logos there.
Okay, that's green.
Yep.
Joester's wearing. Flip your camera around. Okay, wait. There you go. Joester's wearing totally green.
Totally green. Sabrina's wearing green.
Somebody's getting pinched today. That's
Oh,
you.
I got my green where you can't see it, Jay.
Oh, I'm gonna take you on your word for that.
Green man thong.
Ew.
Sorry. Sorry, guys. It's 6:16. Good morning. It's Wednesday, the 17th day of March. Yeah, I guess it's St. Patrick's Day. Are we still doing that? Or did that die in COVID?
I don't know.
I'm sure the bars are excited. It's
The bars are excited tonight.
Have you ever tried green beer?
Not that I recall.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's that. St. Patrick's Day. Okay. Next. Good morning.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on, guys. It's brought to you by East West Rental, Cabo Enterprises, and IT&E. This is the Link Wednesday, March 17th episode of the show, which is proudly brought to you by East West Rental, Cabo Enterprises, IT&E, and Carrier. We're on KUAM TV this morning. Good morning, KUAM TV. Hey, morning. Good. Also, we got an audio stream, Docomo Channel 10. We're right here on the radio with the Breeze, 93.9, but it's just one part of our multimedia broadcast extravaganza. We're Facebook Living, too, a KUAM News Facebook Live. Here's who's coming up this morning. We're getting Department of Ag. We'll talk about a recent bust they had for spotlighting. We'll put the spotlight on the spotlighting. And then Chelsea always brings the whole department with her for an update, so we'll do that too. Also, Dave De La Sola, Labor Director. Sabrina Salas-Mazzanani, good morning.
Half a day.
There was a crazy story that came out from the federal court regarding an ex-DOL employee.
Right. So, wow.
Yeah.
The employee was working at GDOL September and October. Well, September, that's when he first put in the claims for PUA and FPUC, and he got, I think it was $10,000. The story is coming up, but he got $10,000, and then in October, they moved him to a different, I think, part of GDOL, so he didn't have access to the online system, but he used the online credentials of another employee to change, I think, one of the claimants' benefits from a paper check
direct
to
deposit.
a direct deposit to an account that he had control of. Then he managed to get another $2,000 or $3,000. So in total, it was like 13,000 something that he was able to get in benefits. But he did try to attempt to get over 80,000. But all of this was actually through GDOL. You know, it was flagged. They found out what he was doing. They turned over all the information to the FBI.
Wow.
And this is the end result of all of that. And so, you know, Dave, and speaking with him yesterday, you know, he said, hey, you know, we've been talking about cracking down on fraud, and even if it means, you know, within his agency. And so that's what they did.
Of course, that's got everyone wondering, when's the other Zori going to drop? Are there more? Are there more cases? I mean, because Dave has been saying since day one, I mean, that there's been fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's like the triads, the international money laundering. Is the triad still a thing? No? Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's like the mob, the organized Chinese. Anyway.
It's not just Chinese, though. I mean.
Oh, it's all over. Yeah, there's American mob, Thailand
No,
mob.
I'm talking about like just China.
China in general. Yeah, so he's been saying since day one, even local. Yes, you know we love our fraud here locally. Even locally. Even locally, there's fraudulent. So this is terrible. This guy, man. What's he facing?
Don't know.
I mean, taking someone else's PUA, and it's sophisticated though. Well, not really, because he got caught. But I mean, using his bank account number to funnel someone else's direct deposit. And then you know what I think about, Bree? When I heard about this, I thought about all the people that would come and be like, "Hey, I haven't got my PUA," or "Hey, this hasn't gone to the bank." Because there's people out there who are waiting for this money. So yeah, Dave's coming on. Thanks, Dave. He's going to come on and we'll talk about it. Also, the ERA, what is it? Economic Rental Assistance or
Emergency rental.
That program's been stood up with Department of Administration for a couple weeks. So we're going to talk to Bernie Guinness.
And there's a deadline coming up for the pre-application. It's either the 19th might be this Friday, I think. So it's the deadline to turn in your applications. And remember, it can't do this online. You can download the application online or go to your village mayor's office, but you have to turn it in because they don't have it. You can't do it electronically.
Wow.
I believe that's what he said.
Also, John Fernandez, GDOE superintendent, coming on. We'll talk with him about obviously education matters, but also wanted to kind of touch again on the budget and what he's hearing about this $661 million that Governor Liu is getting from the federal government.
But I think there's also other
Fed funds.
provisions in that American Rescue Plan that can go towards education.
Right.
I just haven't seen a breakdown and haven't been able to go through that massive
Pretty
document.
massive. Yeah. It's like 5 Bibles.
New King James version.
Yeah.
Or the OG
With
one.
the one with the
That's-
pictures.
That's a way to put it into perspective.
Right. You know the big one the Archbishop
Yeah.
reads from? Who else? Senator Talina Nelson. Also coming on. She's got, hold on a second. I thought it was a joke. Honestly, when I saw all the committees that she has, I was like, oh man, she's got to be. Woo. Senator Talina Nelson is chair of the Committee on Education, Self-Determination, Historic Preservation, Infrastructure, Border Safety, Federal and Foreign Affairs, and the Port.
Isn't there always one senator who's like that? Like the number of committees that they're on is like super. I believe Roy Respicia was like that one term when he sat, and he had a ton of committees. He was
Right, yeah. So I don't know. We could ask her about pretty much everything then, I guess, since she has oversight. Well, the first question, what don't you have oversight of? Also, we're getting Dr. Michael the Physicians Advisory Group Education Chair. Excited to get him. And then Mark Scott of the Guam Guard, come on. I know that there's been a couple of rough spots with the vaccination clinic. I heard from a friend yesterday that they had booked their appointment on Eventbrite because they kind of turned it into like vaccination, the rock concert. Book your tickets now. Now available at Eventbrite. Well, guess what? They booked their tickets at eventbrite.com, but they got turned away. And they were told by the guard staff there at the EOG Fieldhouse that they had to shut down the operation. They weren't given any details. And so they had to reschedule their appointment. So, yeah,
When was that?
it was yesterday.
Interesting.
Betty Ann.
Huh?
That was one of our coworkers that happened to. So it's confirmed. And then we're getting Mark Scott of the Guam Guard. Well, I just said that. And Dr. Christiana Whitman of Jibwick, the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. They're doing their peace lunch hour talks today, of which Chris Barnett was once a participant. And so we'll get Dr. Whitman on. And then, probably ask her all about what else is going on there at Jibwick. Okay?
I got some shout outs, guys.
All right, Jason, with the shout-outs.
Okay, Anita Maternity Blas McHale. There's a great Irish name, and she says happy.
Oh, Anita Maternity Blas McHale.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to one and all. Hi there. Rosemary Laguana, always number one in our comment stream and number one in our hearts. She goes, asking about the stimulus checks. Yeah, she always brings up, and she always starts like really interesting conversations.
Yeah.
About that.
Good question. We don't know about the garnishments. The last one, there were none for the 600. The 600 stimmy, there were no garnishments. But the one before that, they're taking out the child support.
The 1200.
Right, yeah. We'll find out for you, though. Don't worry.
Oh.
Chamarita Regis, a beautiful outfit today. Bonita Chamarita Sabrina.
Yeah.
Green is my favorite color. Biba Mestamoru.
That is a very nice outfit.
Did you like, it's almost Christmas, too, because you got the red mask and the green. No, I mean, it's not almost Christmas, guys. I wouldn't even be surprised the way this whole life is
Yeah,
going.
where'd you get that? That's a really nice shirt.
I got it in Agania. At the
Nice.
store in Agania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the store, Jay. She got it
At
at the
the
store.
store,
In the Ganya.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things, taking my son to his, jiu-jitsu class. And
And then you
it's-
got a little free time.
No, it was like, oh, Mom, I have to wear a Chamorro shirt, island print tomorrow.
Oh,
And I hadn't really gone shopping for him during the pandemic,
Yeah.
and he's grown so much. So,
crazy,
like,
right?
Thanks to the last minute notice.
Your son is gonna be like my height. I've joked about that, but I mean he's seriously getting up there, and he loves basketball. He plays all the time. He watches videos constantly on YouTube. I think he's gonna play center.
He's going to be definitely a Chamorro Center. Chamorro Center is like anyone 5'11" to 6'2". You're in. Yep. You're our Manute Bowl. Google it, Manute Bowl.
Yeah, his son is playing too.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Huh.
Bowl.
Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of looking into whether or not we should put him into, I think Guam Elite, they're starting back up.
They are.
So soon,
Right.
actually.
Good for them. Hey,
If not
shout out to
already.
Guam Elite, man. Dominic
Yeah.
Cruz, Willie Stinnett, and everything like that.
Dominic-
Good guys over. Or Dominic Sublime, I'm sorry. Dominic Cruz. Actually, Dominic Cruz, another great basketball player from FD, but many years before Dom. So shout out to Dom and his team.
Stephanie Wimmer on our Facebook Live. Happy St. Patty's from Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Hi.
Virginia's for lovers. Who else we got here? DeMarie Salas Flores. Good morning. Guam from Napa Valley, California.
Ooh, enjoying some.
Are you eating grapes on the vine?
Yeah, lovely fermented grapes out there.
I bet she goes and strolls the vineyard in the morning when the grapes are still cold from the morning dew, and she picks the grapes from the vine and probably eats them while they're cold. I would do that.
And it is quite cold out there. Yeah. Okay, I have something real quick. Bree, okay, Sabrina is, the person who doles out all the assignments for news, right? And it has been forever since I've been able to do a story and go out because, we've been under pandemic. So I'm going to let all of you guys, all Link fam, right? I'm going to pitch a story idea to Bree, right? And see if she approves it, right? Bree, because the one thing I love about being in KUM is our style of storytelling is basically we tell everybody, if you go out and you see something and you want to tell a story, go for it. Just tell a story right? So I came across this the other day, Bree, right? Let me know if this is something I can work on, right? I've always been fascinated when driving up to Dedido. Like right in front of like the Pizza Hut and the American Grocery and like the Shell Station, the Cassandra's Barbecue and everything. You always see like there's like 300 pigeons up on like those power lines.
Yeah.
You ever see that?
Yeah.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about. There's so many pigeons up there. I saw the other day as I was driving home. Apparently there's a person that works at Pizza Hut who comes out there routinely, and I guess they've got like breadsticks that either they make them or maybe orders that have been canceled or anything like that. They've got breadsticks and they've got crust and everything like that. And she goes out and she actually gives it to the pigeon, and this huge armada of pigeons just like descends down.
So we have a pigeon lady.
Yeah, no, but I was like, that's such a cool story, and I just like to ask her.
Was that Home Alone with the pigeon lady or the pigeon man?
Home Alone.
It was Home Alone 3. Okay.
Under the bridge? Was it?
Under the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the park.
Yeah,
Right.
by Central Park. Yeah.
Oh, brother, we got one pigeon lady here.
But I was like, I mean, everybody knows with that part of Dedido, like with all those pigeons, and I just wonder, like what prompted that person to start feeding the pigeons, and I mean, I'm gonna like Instagram
Yeah,
that like crazy.
that'd be cool. I mean, we've all fed chickens, right?
Yeah, how do you call the chickens? How do you is that how you do it?
Yeah. Okay, Jay. Sorry, Bree's gonna do the news.
My grandfather taught me a variation of that.
Okay,
but
how?
basi-
Yeah. Oh, damn.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, it
Oh.
was-
We'll continue this after the
that's
news.
the Gannett Heights style.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's how you call the Gannett Heights chickens. At 6:30, again, the link brought to you by East West Rental, Calvo Enterprises,
So,
IT.
yeah, that's a cute story. You should go and actually take a photographer and go do
That's
some
gonna
more.
be a good one.
Yeah,
I'm
that is
interested in doing
good job, Jay. Now from the KUAM news team with the very latest. Good morning, Sabrina Salas Mazzanani.
Off it, everybody. We're going to start by throwing it back to the newsroom where, I believe it's Tyler, has more information about yesterday's fatal crash and how a former GDOL employee has been charged with fraud.
One and half a day, everyone. I'm Tyler Mazzanani with your headlines here on The Link. Early Tuesday morning, the island recorded its fourth traffic-related fatality of the year. An Air Force airman is dead after a motorcycle crash occurred along Santos Hill in Tumon. According to Guam Police Department spokesperson Sergeant Paul Tapao, at this rate, we will be experiencing nearly 2 roadway-related deaths per month.
If we continue this track, we are going to see a rise in fatalities Before sunrise, Guam Police Department officers and Guam fire medics responded to a single motorcycle crash in Tumon at around 12:45 a.m. According to GPD spokesperson Sergeant Paul Tapao, preliminary reports suggest that a 2011 Harley-Davidson FLTRX was traveling east in the inner lane by Casa de Isa when the male driver lost control of the motorcycle and collided with the raised concrete median, causing the motorcycle to run off the roadway.
The initial contact with the motorcycle was the raised concrete median. Now, whether
One and 10 day, everyone. I'm Tyler Matinati with your headlines here on The Link. Early Tuesday morning, the island recorded its fourth traffic-related fatality of the year. An Air Force airman is dead after a motorcycle crash occurred along Santos Hill in Tumon. According to Guam Police Department spokesperson Sergeant Paul Tapao, at this rate, we will be experiencing nearly 2 roadway-related deaths per month.
If we continue this track, we are going to see a rise in fatalities.
Before sunrise, Guam Police Department officers and Guam fire medics responded to a single motorcycle crash in Tumon at around 12:45 a.m. According to GPD spokesperson Sergeant Paul Tapao, preliminary reports suggest that a 2011 Harley-Davidson FLTRX was traveling east in the inner lane by Casa de Isa when the male driver lost control of the motorcycle and collided with the raised concrete median, causing the motorcycle to run off the roadway.
The initial contact with the motorcycle was the raised concrete median. Now, whether you're traversing up or down when, in a vehicle, when you hit something that high, it's going to cause your vehicle or whatever you're operating to redirect itself if you're not able to maintain control.
The driver was an Anderson Air Force Base airman. He was immediately transported to Guam Regional Medical City where he was pronounced deceased. Following Department of Defense policy, the name is being withheld until 24 hours after notifying the next of kin. 36th Wing Commander Brigadier General Jeremy Sloan stated in a release, quote, "We are a close-knit family, and when a tragedy like this occurs, every member of Team Anderson feels it. We express our deepest sympathies to the family and friends of the deceased airmen. Our thoughts and prayers are with them, and we are providing every comfort and assistance that we can," unquote. GPD's Highway Patrol Division has been activated. Their investigations are ongoing as they have yet to determine if speed, alcohol, or drugs were factors in the crash. And the work for traffic investigators piles on, as this is the island's fourth fatality of the year.
We've encountered some challenges with identifying and contacting the next of kin, which I believe the first 2 crashes. So I met with our traffic investigators yesterday, so I should be getting a summary of the fatals and, of course, identifying the victims of the crash, the 4 crashes that occurred within this year. But coming with the findings, it's really they've yet to conclude the investigation portions.
There have been no arrests made in any of the 4 deaths, and all cases remain open. Sergeant Tapao wants to remind the community to remain vigilant, adhere to traffic laws, especially as we continue to see the island reopening.
The best way, again, in which we can maintain or control the track from an uptick model in fatalities in the roadway is really behavior modifiers from every motorist that should choose, whether to consume alcohol, to just really designate a responsible sober driver. Motorists who are accustomed to texting and driving or to doing other things within their vehicle to really refrain from that and being more attentive on the roadways. And of course, adhering to the posted speed limit.
A former Guam Department of Labor employee has been charged in the District Court of Guam with fraud.
It's a federal program stood up to help the thousands of island residents who were left unemployed, furloughed, and who suffered reduced hours as a result of the COVID pandemic. But for Jerome Michael Cruz, he didn't fit into any of those categories. Instead, he was a full-time employee at the Guam Department of Labor as a customer service representative. Cruz in his position had access to GDOL's computer systems to make, approve, and modify pandemic unemployment assistance and federal pandemic unemployment compensation claims. According to court documents in September of last year, Cruz, while fully employed at GDOL, submitted an application for FPUC and PUA benefits. He lied that he was unemployed and was eligible for benefits under the federal programs. He was able to receive almost $11,000 in benefits he was not entitled to. The following month, in October 2020, Cruz was transferred within GDOL. Court documents state that he lost access to the PUA and FPUC's computer system, but then used the login credentials of another GDOL employee to access the online system. Cruz modified an existing PUA claim for another person to change the payment method from paper check to direct deposit, and to route the benefits to a bank account he controlled. As a result, he was able to obtain a little over $2,400 in fraudulent benefits. In total, Cruz was able to obtain $13,350 in fraudulent benefits, but according to court documents, he tried to obtain an additional $80,000. Guam Department of Labor Director David De La Sola says he was fully aware of the investigation, but it was his staff that informed and forwarded the case about Cruz to the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Quote, I thank the entire efforts of my staff that tirelessly put all this information together so the feds can move on this, unquote, said De La Sola. The director adds that his agency has always wanted to show that they are doing their due diligence to combat fraud. Quote, I hope this will be a reminder to the island that this is a federal funds and that this is not to be taken lightly, unquote. De La Sola thanked the FBI, the Attorney General's Office, and USDOL's Office of Inspector General for their collaboration and ongoing efforts to catch and crack down on fraud. Cruz has entered into a plea agreement and is scheduled to appear before U.S. Magistrate Judge Michael Bordalio on Thursday. He has agreed to plead guilty to charges of federal program theft and accessing protected computer in furtherance of fraud.
Another 2,403 EIP-2 checks totaling over $1.6 million has been processed. The Guam Department of Revenue and Taxation says that the EIP-2 was authorized by the COVID-related Tax Relief Act of 2020. Checks will be mailed out this week. To date, 75,047 EIP-2 checks totaling over $78 million have been processed. March 19, 2021 is the last date that EIP-2 payments will be made. Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene received a gift of tomorrow.
Okay, so Congressman Michael St. Nicholas making headlines, national headlines, after delivering those Chamorro chip cookies to Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Greene, again, recently made a comment inferring that Guam was a foreign country. The congressman, as we just reported, paid a visit earlier this week to her office to deliver cookies with Guam National Guardsmen and women. St. Nicholas, as you saw, posted the video on his Facebook page. Congressman Greene on Twitter called out his use of the National Guard service members, tweeting, "It's time for our great men and women of the National Guard to go home and be with their families. The Democrats need to stop using them as political theater and drama on Capitol Hill. Shame on Democrats for disrespecting our military," end quote. Guam National Guard Adjutant General Aster Agegi had issued a statement following the cookie drop, saying, "We appreciate Congressman St. Nicholas's efforts to represent our culture of Nafat Malik or bringing harmony practice here in Guam." She also thanked Congresswoman Greene for ultimately helping to raise awareness of Guamanians as American citizens and their rich tradition of service and sacrifice to the nation. Congressman St. Nicholas, in the meantime, also recently posted another video with National Guard service members on Facebook, presenting South Carolina Congressman with a chicken Calaguin and Tatizis, that to Majority Whip Jim Clyburn, as a way to say thank you for the work he's done, which includes Guam. Due to reports of community spread in the CNMI, the Joint Information Center reports that all incoming travelers originating from the CNMI flying into Guam are subject to quarantine. Travelers originating from the CNMI were previously allowed to quarantine at a rental lodging or personal residence immediately upon arrival into the territory. Meanwhile, the JIC reports that out of 846 test samples taken Monday, there are no new cases of COVID. To date, the total number of COVID cases on Guam stands at 7,773 since March of last year. 134 deaths, 23 cases are active, and a little over 7,600 recoveries to report. The COVID census at hospitals shows there are 4 people currently hospitalized. The CAR score remains at 0.2. As far as vaccinations, a total of 63,180 doses have been administered. 33,812 have received their first doses, and 29,373 are fully vaccinated. GMH has modified its visitation policy in the meantime to include visitation of immediate family members for non-COVID patients ages 75 and older. Another 2,403 EIP2 checks totaling over $1.6 million has been processed. The Guam Department of Revenue and Taxation says that the EIP2 was authorized by the COVID Relief Tax Act of 2020. Checks will be mailed out this week. To date, 75,047 EIP2 checks totaling over $78 million have been processed. March 19th is the last day that EIP2 payments will be made. President Biden is headed to a Philadelphia suburb today as the White House continues what it's calling the Help is Here tour to tout the benefits of the American Rescue Plan, which was signed into law last week. Skylar Henry reports.
President Biden is hitting the road to tout his American Rescue Plan and the benefits small businesses can receive, especially those that missed out during the last round of relief.
Mainstream businesses from hardware stores to beauty salons that needed the help most were left behind. 400,000 are now gone. We will not let that happen this time.
This is all part of a 6-state swing for the president, vice president, and their spouses to sell the plan to the American public.
It's not selling it. It's literally letting people know their rights, right? It's kind of like you buy a product, you've already been sold on the product, but you need some directions on the box usually, right?
The Republican National Committee is launching a counter-messaging campaign today, spreading the message that the money in the bill isn't targeted to fight the pandemic.
Reports from California suggest some local governments may consider using some of the massive bailouts that Democrats sent them on bonuses.
The Biden administration is also pressing states to make vaccinations available for all adults by May 1st. Today, Mississippi becomes the second state to expand their vaccine eligibility to those ages 16 and older.
Great for the Mississippi so we can get back to some kind of normalcy. We all need it.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says so far there have been a few allergic reactions to the vaccine. Only about 4 cases out of every 1 million shots.
There does not appear to be anything that is what we call a red flag.
Several European countries have suspended use of the AstraZeneca vaccine over concerns about blood clots. The British drug maker says a review of 17 million people in the UK and Europe who have received the vaccine found less than 40 developed blood clots, which they say is lower than what you'd expect to find in the general population. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
The Vatican, in the meantime, has announced that the Catholic Church cannot give its blessing to same-sex unions, writing, God, quote, does not and cannot bless sin. He blesses sinful man so that he may recognize that he is part of his plan of love and allow himself to be changed by him. Some civil rights groups called the response disappointing. Dignity USA Executive Director Marian Detty Burke saying that same-sex relationships are intrinsically evil or now sinful is such a degradation of the love and commitment and faithfulness that millions of same-sex couples show for each other. Pope Francis added this was not unjust discrimination, but rather a clarification of the liturgical rite of marriage. In some countries like the U.S. and Germany, parish priests had already begun blessing same-sex unions. Francis DiBernardo, Executive Director of the New Ways Ministry and LGBTQ-centered Catholic Ministry, says the Vatican decree was disappointing but not surprising. Catholics, he said, will continue to find creative ways to bless the couples they love and support. That's your news. Stay tuned for more on The Link after the break.
Only one company on Guam provides every solar energy solution under one roof. Micronesia Renewable Energy. You want solar only? They got that. You want solar with batteries? They got that too. You want outright purchase or lease purchase? It's up to you. Does your solar system need a tune-up? That's what they do. For solar energy solutions from A to Z, you can count on MRE. Give them a call at 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, providing real solar solutions built by real solar experts.
Catch a wave of fish and seafood available throughout the Lenten season at King's Restaurant. The Lent menu has a tsunami of all your favorites like deep-fried parrotfish, fried calamari, and the Lent sampler. All are sure to be a splash hit. It's the Lent menu at King's.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Can't find a designated driver? We'll bring the party to you. The Bottle Shack is now available on Uno Go, delivering your favorite beers, wines, and spirits to your door safely. Visit uno-go.com or download the app today. Also follow them on Instagram and Facebook. Enjoy responsibly.
The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage, with generations of Filipinos calling Guam home. KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by the Bank of Guam and KFC.
Half a day. Does your child have a hearing loss? We are parents of deaf and hard of hearing children and volunteers with Guam's Positive Parents Together, and we are here for you. We know how you feel and have walked in your shoes. We want to help you navigate your way through our educational and medical systems, and most especially, your emotional journey. Please visit us at www.guamparents.org for more information.
Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
KUAM Communications salutes women small business entrepreneurs during Women's History Month with a special community feature, Women Driven. Every Monday in March, tune into KUAM News Primetime for a showcase of women entrepreneurs working in our community and the businesses they own and operate. Also catch the daily women-driven profiles, flooding the digital media platforms of KUAM News for professional features on many of these hardworking women. Celebrate Women's History Month with Women Driven on the multi-platforms of KUAM, presented by Cars Plus and Bank of Guam.
Swim on in for Ruby Tuesday Seafood Sensations and enjoy your favorites from the sea in perfect time for Lent. Get hooked on lobster mac and cheese, the salmon loco moco, or the deep sea pasta. There's a bounty waiting for you on the RT Seafood Sensations menu at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
Join KUAM and Punta Endosa Montes for the Mes Chamorro Masterclass Series, an informative digital series for demonstrations throughout Mes Chamorro. Catch the Mes Chamorro Masterclass Series weekly on the KUAM News Facebook page, the KUAM YouTube channel, and every Saturday in March following the KUAM News Weekend Edition at 6:30 p.m. on TV8 and 7:30 on TV11. We'll highlight Guam's talented crafters and artisans teaching artisanal skills of our Chamorro heritage. Viva Mes Chamorro! From Punta Endosa Montes and KUAM Communications. See KUAM.com for the complete Mes Chamorro Masterclass series schedule.
You're watching The Link with Chris and Sabrina on TV 11. Stick around because we're next on CBS This Morning.
We got your 6
at 6 a.m. with The Link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6.
Close my eyes, reminisce.
Late Party, Savage K, good old days, 6:51. It's funny now when we say good old days, we mean last year, pre-March. Morning, 6:51 again. It's the link. Boy, there's a lot of people talking on the national level about this Congressman Nicholas and the National Guard troops. I don't really see it making a lot of impact locally, because who didn't want to see us kind of stand up to Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? So I don't really see anybody locally saying like, oh, there's an issue with using the Guard for what some have called a political stunt. I mean, let's just be honest, our congressman is a politician. But I mean, even on his Facebook page, so he had posted up these videos. There's a cookie video, and then I think there's another one where he's delivering chicken Kelligwin. Isn't that crazy? It's like grab and go. He's like a grab and go guy. Grab and go for Guam.
Yeah, so it was chicken Kelligwin and Tatizas to the South Carolina delegate.
Right. Yeah. Who the congressman has said was instrumental in getting Guam, part of the $661 million. But
that would have been funny if the South Carolina delegate would be like, "Oh, thank you. Wait, what? I'm not good enough for cookies, or what?" I heard about those chip cookies. Those are good.
Some of the comments here on the congressman's Facebook page, and if you go on it, like his official Congress page on Facebook, there's a lot of like people from the states commenting. Like there's one comment here: using uniformed military to make a political statement and intimidate a fellow member of Congress. The DOD will enjoy this. What? He's afraid Marjorie would whoop his arse, and she could do it too. People call him a wimp. What the hell is that? What? Yeah, so they're getting a little personal on there. I hope the Pentagon is investigating this and why our military is being used as political pawns by the Democratic Party. The military leadership will also allow these service members in uniform to publicly support a political platform, goes against the Hatch Act and DOD Directive 1344.10. I don't know. I'm not in the military. I did talk to a few different military members, so they had varying opinions. But, also, Congressman Nicholas was interviewed live on CNN.
Wow.
Yeah. And so this whole, like, Chamorro Chip Cookie Marjorie Taylor Greene thinking Guam's a foreign country
so he didn't just send CNN a Facebook post. He actually talked to them.
He had talked to them. He doesn't talk to the local media, but I guess CNN's kind of up there, right? I'm pretty sure we'll end up playing that on the show if we can. I don't know are there any restrictions to us playing that?
That should be all right.
Okay. So it's in the chat. Anyway, it's interesting because this whole incident has taken on conversation on the national level because of the highly charged partisan environment between Republicans and Democrats on Capitol Hill. And it was just kind of funny to me because obviously Congressman Nicholas is a Democrat, and the Republicans are really like keying in on that. Oh, he's a Democrat using the troops for, political points or whatever. But I thought it was interesting that they're really keying on him as a Democrat when here on Guam, a lot of people know that, he's just not in with the Democratic Party. So that was interesting. And we're getting Mark Scott on to talk about it. This kind of prompted the Adjutant General, Esther Agagi, to release a statement. There was also an article in Military Times about this. You guys saw that. I shared it on my Facebook page, and we'll get it on the link later on. But the headline, Guard officials say troops march on Republican Congresswoman's office wasn't a political statement. And this quotes National Guard officials on Guam, of course, with Adjutant General Esther Agagi. And she had said that the Guard remains... Here you go. We appreciate Congressman Nicholas's efforts to represent our culture of Inafa Maulik, or bringing harmony practice here in Guam. Adjutant General Esther Agagi said in a statement. We also thank Congresswoman Greene for ultimately helping raise awareness of Guamanians as citizens of the U.S. and our rich tradition of service and sacrifice to our nation. So there you go. At 6:56.
Sorry, not having really followed this story. Were those guardsmen that were already in D.C.?
So I guess I guess they were already in D.C. because there was a deployment going on there in D.C.
Okay.
And you know, in talking with Mark Scott, who's the Guard PIO, because like I said, if you guys know people in the military, I'm not, but there's like all these rules about what you can do in uniform. There's even so many rules about what you can do out of uniform. And so I think where it became an issue for some people was that it was partisan. You have a Democrat congressman, Michael St. going to see a Republican congresswoman with the soldiers in tow in uniform. And I think because of the recent, what do they call it, insurgency on Capitol Hill when the protesters stormed the nation's capital, like everybody's just hypersensitive about the military and politics and the kind of the mixing of the two. So that's where I think it kind of like really gained traction nationally. But what Mark Scott was saying, who's the Guard PIO, I mean, he didn't necessarily like defend it all the way, but he did say that it wasn't a campaign event, and Congressman St. Nicholas is our congressman representing the island of Guam, so the Guard didn't see a problem with it. But, you know, we'll see. I mean, you're never going to really find out because the military, like, process is really shrouded in secrecy. Yeah, let's get Polly Mike on.
Okay.
Thank you. At 6:57, by the way, we are KUAM FM Agani Guam on the Breeze 93.9. This is The Link. My name is Chris. Good morning on you. Yeah, and that is also interesting, too, is that a lot of, Marjorie Greene is one of these, like, far-right, super Trumpy kind of Republicans. She's also a QAnon follower. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting, too. So, I mean, but you know what I see kind of coming out of this is you're seeing, if you follow it, like, go on Twitter, you can even go on Facebook. Like, it's just interesting that I don't know how. I mean, for us, it's a positive, right? We want these Guards people to go and tell people that, yeah, we're American too. Hey, look at us, we're Americans. Yeah, it's good, but it's like flipped into this negative issue now where everyone's like, oh, it's political, the troops, the uniform, the thing. So I'm wondering if these Republicans kind of get wind of Congressman St. Nicholas's ethics investigation, are they going to start making noise about it? Because remember, he's still under this ethics investigation. So we'll see. It's 6:58. Again, we're going to take a quick break and come back with Polly Mike. Chrysostom, as there was another release. Boy, the church been busy with these releases. You guys remember last week they came out with this release that don't take the Johnson & Johnson vaccine because it has aborted baby fetus cells in it or something. Then we got the Archbishop on, and it was bizarre. Really, it was weird because he came out with that release, and then sometime from the issuing of that release, which was on a Friday or Thursday, I believe, to when he came on the link Monday, he did a total 180. And whereas last week he was like, don't take the Johnson & Johnson vaccine because it's morally depraved, right? Your eternal soul and its salvation will be called into question if you take this vaccine. But then Monday he was like, oh yeah, it's okay. Go ahead. If you don't have a choice, go ahead. You'll be all right. You don't have to say 10 Hail Marys or right? It was weird. I was just like, you were like all fire and brimstone the other day, and now you're like, whatever, go for it now. Yeah, whatever you guys want to do. Take 2 shots of the Johnson & Johnson. So we're going to come back with Polly Mike because now they have a release saying, I got to find it, but it's something about they can't bless the same-sex unions, which, you know, I'll tell you my thoughts on that coming up with Polly Mike at 7 o'clock here on The Link. Good morning.
Catch The Link on Blue. Only one company on Guam provides every solar energy solution under one roof. Micronesia Renewable Energy. You want solar only? They got that. You want solar with batteries? They got that too. You want outright purchase or lease purchase? It's up to you. Does your solar system need a tune-up? That's what they do. For solar energy solutions from A to Z, you can count on MRE. Give them a call at 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, providing real solar solutions built by real solar experts.
Uno Go, delivering meals from your favorite restaurants and more, including delivering sodas and adult beverages from the Bottle Shack. Visit uno-go.com or download the app today. Also follow them on Instagram and Facebook.
Swim on in for Ruby Tuesday seafood sensations and enjoy your favorites from the sea in perfect time for Lent. Get hooked on lobster mac and cheese, the salmon loco moco, or the deep sea pasta. There's a bounty waiting for you on the RT Seafood Sensations menu at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
KUAM Communications salutes women small business entrepreneurs during Women's History Month with a special community feature, Women Driven. Every Monday in March, tune into KUAM News Primetime for a showcase of women entrepreneurs working in our community and the businesses they own and operate. Also catch the daily women-driven profiles, flooding the digital media platforms of KUAM News for professional features on many of these hardworking women. Celebrate Women's History Month with Women Driven on the multi-platforms of KUAM, presented by Cars Plus and Bank of Guam.
Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Half a day. Does your child have a hearing loss? We are parents of deaf and hard of hearing children and volunteers with Guam's Positive Parents Together, and we are here for you. We know how you feel and have walked in your shoes. We want to help you navigate your way through our educational and medical systems, and most especially, your emotional journey. Please visit us at www.guamparents.org for more information.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
You're watching The Link with Chris and Sabrina on TV 11, but don't leave yet because we're coming up next on CBS This Morning.
With The Link. Here on Breeze 93.9 FM.
Surprise you with your favorite things. Dance with me by the ocean under the moonlight, 'cause I'm loving how it shines on you as the sweet, sweet scent of your perfume just takes me away to a land of peace, near the sea of love, near the gardens of nature in the heavens above. And I know it's real, more than a dream, when you're alone with me and just falling in love right here in paradise. Ooh, I hope you're loving the view. Let this tropical breeze set you in the mood. Just falling in love.
Yeah, I'm excited to get Mark Scott of the Guard on about this whole issue. There's other stuff, of course, that they're talking about with the vaccination clinic. Good morning, 7:04. Let's head into the KUAM News Zoom room where we have standing by Polly Microsostomo. Good morning, Polly.
Hey, good morning, Chris.
And he's having some video issues.
Sorry about that.
No problem, but we're popping his picture up. Yeah, he actually has a big mugu in his left eye, so he didn't want to come on the video.
Actually, it's my right eye.
His right eye. There. Sorry, I want to be, accurate. So there was a release that came out here, and this was a release from the Holy See, and it's on Vatican News. It's actually everywhere. If you just do a quick Google on it. The Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith responds in the negative to the possibility of imparting a blessing to unions of same-sex couples, noting that it also does not imply a judgment on the persons involved. This coming out of Vatican News, the Church does not have the power to bless same-sex unions. Such blessings, therefore, cannot be considered licit, according to the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. Therefore, I guess licit, illicit means not good, right? So, okay. The church, I guess, will not allow priests to bless homosexual couples who ask for some type of religious recognition for their union. The CDF says Pope Francis was informed and gave his assent to the publication of the response and an accompanying explanatory note signed by the prefect, Cardinal Louis Ladaria, among others. The statement is based on specific assertions and some actual practices. The document situates its response into the context of the, quote, sincere desire to welcome and accompany homosexual persons to whom are proposed paths of growth in faith. But what does this mean locally, Paulie? Is this changing anything that was going on locally?
I think we again, like you, we just received the document yesterday. At least I received it yesterday. We're still kind of processing that. We haven't even met yet as a presbyterate or as clergy. But just from my take on it, just reading what you just the whole text there and you just quoted some of it. Nothing new. I think this has been the teaching of the church that we cannot bless the sin, but we can bless the sinner. That type of understanding. So the church is just so dubium is a question that is sent into the Congregation of Doctrine of Faith. CDF is a congregation that kind of reaffirms or answers these questions that many bishops may have. And this was a question that was sent in. Does the church have the power to give the blessing to unions of persons of same sex? And the response is this letter. And this letter basically says, no, it cannot, as the teachings of the church, as the catechism of the church has stated, that the sin can never be accepted and condoned. But we do want to acknowledge that the sinner is who we are caring for, who we want to work with. And I think that's the important message to keep out there, is that the church teaching has always been that, and that we want to continue to reach out. And Chris, this is something I've thought about this morning just real quickly, is that I remember growing up and it was tough love when things were told to me that I couldn't have certain things or I couldn't do certain things. My parent kind of guided me in through this. I think we want to be able to understand that the church tries to guide its members and its children, God's children, in the ways that God had intended, and the best way that it can interpret that through scripture and through the teachings of the church. And it is only through the lens of love. And if we don't have love for these persons with persons with same sex, then we'll never get anywhere. And I think that's what I think the church tries to communicate, is through the lens of love. Now, we haven't always been successful in that. I think the efforts of the church, sometimes we get criticized that we've been very judgmental and ostracized many of our LGBTQ community. But nationwide, I think worldwide, there's been efforts there, and locally, I could say that there's been very little efforts, and I can assure you that that's not the intent. It's just that it's very difficult to reach out to individuals who perhaps have a different view, and our view is very strict and very rooted in scripture, and there's no way of bridging that. I hope that moving forward that we can bridge that. And you and I know there are many people, many members in our church, even within my Toonie community, God bless them, who are here, who are living in this union, living in this same-sex attraction. And I work with parents who are dealing with many of their kids. And the first thing I say to them is that they're still your child of God. You still have to love them. You still have to care for them. You can't just stop loving them because of their attraction to persons with same sex. And so it's a message that I hope that we can get out there. I know, again, that maybe I'm a lone voice in the church, but I think there are many others who feel the same way. But it's a consistent teaching of the church, which is a teaching of love. And I hope that we can communicate that.
We had a couple comments here on our stream here. Chamrita Regis writes, never ending for the LGBTQ. We're all committing a sin. Now it is God that has the plan and purpose for each and every one of us. It's up to us to now hear it from God himself. I pray every day that I'm with him, praying my day will go by and live another day. Kind of heavy blow during Lent, though, Paulie, and I feel like I said this before when the Archbishop came on, and I really tried to get the Archbishop. Well, we did. We got the Archbishop on, and then we brought on our friend Glenn, who's in a same-sex marriage, and I thought it was a hopeful conversation that they had. And I
pray too, as well as his. I know Glenn very well, and I chat with him sometimes on Facebook, and I encouraged him and I thanked him for being honest with the Archbishop. And I hope that that dialogue, that bridge will begin to be established. And like he said, this is a never-ending story, not only for the LGBT community, but it's a never-ending story for humanity. We're always in sin. Priests are sinful as well. And it's a never-ending story for many people who have to deal with this. And those who are prescribed followers of Christ, we deal with this because that's what Christ came for. He came to die for our sins. Church is a place for sinners. And I think we need that. We need to be able to know where we can go to. And if sinners can find a place, an environment that is welcoming, accepting of who they are. And I hope that, again, we understand that we don't bless the sin, but we bless the sinner. And then they can able to help bridge that. And you know, Chris, I think of the prodigal son story. The son lived his life, and he went out and he lived his life and then came to his senses, and he says, I want to go back to my father because that's who I need. I need him in my life. And when he returned and the father saw him afar, the father just didn't sit and wait for the son to come. The father ran to him. He embraced him, hugged him, and kissed him and threw a party for him. And I think that image of God that is there, he runs to us. He constantly meets us. He wants to hug and kiss us, and he wants to be able to. And I hope that his church can have that image as well, and to be able to do that, to be the hands of God, to embrace our brother and sister who are in need, not just the LGBT community, although I know they've been highlighted and they've been always given that attention there. But I think all peoples of faith, I think we need to reach out as well.
So are people who are in same-sex relationships or marriages, are they still welcome in the Catholic Church to go to Mass during Lent?
Oh, the answer is yes, definitely. They should not feel any differently. And I think if any church does that, if any church preaches that, I think it's out of love that they want to be able to help them to help any of us to come out of sin into a life of grace. Now, sometimes it's perceived differently, and they feel judged, and that's why I was sharing that the bridge has to be established. We have to get to the table and to be able to reach that, and we can't do that if we're throwing out words of judgment and words of criticism. We got to be able to build that bridge of trust and of credibility. And again, like I said, the church hasn't always been successful in that, but we're trying, and I think many of us who are here continue to try to reach out to our brothers and sisters.
Well, there you go. Thanks, Paulie. Just wanted to get you on and kind of get a live voice to this release out of the Vatican. Thanks for coming on,
Chris. And just one last thing, a message of those who are in the community, the LGBT community. We love you. God loves you. And I know many of them have their own deep faith in God, and God bless you for that. God bless you in your endeavor to bring God into your life. And I hope that you never, ever leave God, but that you always have him.
Thank you, Paulie Mike.
God bless.
Best there you go. Father Mike Chrysostomo, 7:14, Wednesday, March 17th. Good morning. It's The Link. Let's get back into the KUAM News Zoom room, where we have, looks like about 50% of the Department of Agriculture joining us here. Good morning, Department of Ag. Good morning, Chelsea.
Half a day. Good morning.
And I know there's a bunch of stuff you guys want to cover. But we want to start really with that arrest. Was like last week Friday. One was Joshua Terlahi, the other was Vincent A. Flores. These guys were arrested for spotlighting. There was also like a firearms without a firearms ID charge, and then I believe Vincent A. Flores was also allegedly found with drug paraphernalia. But can you kind of walk us through when you get the conservation officers out there, just maybe like start to finish from the average complaint, like let's say when they go out and they see someone spotlighting, what happens when they respond and what are they able to do as because they're law enforcement, right?
Yes, and they're out there primarily to enforce the mandates of our wildlife section when they're doing that. And, they knew what they were doing when they were out there. So as you know, that and this will tie to Christine stuff, those were areas that have burned substantially in the last month. We had so many fires, and our forestry aides were out there fighting those fires. And then some of them, for some of the fires, they'd also initiated criminal arson investigations. and they do that in conjunction, with our conservation officers. But that night, our officers were out there monitoring for any illegal poaching activities, and when they saw the spotlight, they typically just watched to see what's going to happen, and they monitored the vehicle leaving the scene, and that's when they approached.
And so when does so they approach the vehicle, like, and we're not necessarily we are talking specifically about this one case, but also generally when they do make the approach, tell us a little bit about that, because I mean these are situations where they are approaching people who are armed, right?
Yes, they follow all their proper procedures for ensuring that, it's not one officer approaching alone. They're doing it in a manner that ensures their protection. They probably, I'm assuming, had flashlights on as well so that they can see what's going on inside of the vehicle. They're calling out to the people to put their arms out so that their hands are not in a place where you can't see and possibly on a weapon. And I would assume that they're just doing what, some of the stuff you kind of see or anticipate that law enforcement. I was going to say what you see on TV, but
Right.
I'm sure it's a lot safer than that.
I don't know how many spotlighting arrests I see on TV.
You're not watching the right channel.
I guess I gotta watch the Duck Dynasty channel. Right. So they
We're
make
gonna have our own channel.
right.
That's what we gotta do.
They should, yeah. Chelsea, so at what point does like GPD get involved, or do they get involved?
Well, they actually kind of get involved early on in that we're still working on establishing this system called LERMS, where our resources are linked with GPD so that we can access like the criminal database right away, but we don't have that link right now. So what we do is after they arrest their suspects, they bring them back to the office and start the booking process. And then they call GPD to try to determine if there are any outstanding warrants, and if there's any other relevant information that they need to know. So that already establishes the link with GPD. And then if there are any other violations that are conservation related, then those are also passed on through GPD.
Right. So do they do the search of the vehicle, and like in this case when they found the drug paraphernalia, is it the conservation officers that found that, and then they note it for GPD when they? I see.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
And then also when you talk about the burning that goes on, since these two were arrested at that scene, is there anything or any investigation linking them to the burning of the area?
I don't know if there's any link that's been established now, but I know that it's an avenue that they will pursue to try to determine if there's a link.
Okay.
But Christine would be able to comment on how a case gets started for the wildland fire arson investigation.
We actually had a comment here. What is spotlighting?
Oh, spotlighting is when you're using a light at night with a firearm with the intent to, there's also something called protection of animals, and it's one of the violations. And protection of wild animals means that you're not supposed to have any take, which is like you're trying to catch, capture, or kill, or you have one already on you, a wild animal without proper permitting. And so that is done in conjunction with the spotlight and with the firearm. Then it's determined that your intent was to illegally hunt.
Because there's that saying, deer in the headlights. So that's what the spotlighting is. Like when you put the light in the deer's eyes, they're like, and then
they freeze.
Then you get deer Caligwen and deer Kadu. And legally though, you guys got to do it not with the spotlighting, but okay.
Yes.
Chelsea, so we're going to go down the line because I got Dave right behind you, and I definitely want to get him on about this whole GDOL issue. But I see that you brought Frank. So Frank is for the fisheries update. This is
yes,
relative to the grant for the fishermen. This has kind of been a long time coming, and I know that we had talked to you, I want to say it was late last year, and it kind of seemed like you guys are right there with the issuing of the checks. But I remember we had you on, and there were some other issues. So just general status, Frank. Have we cut any checks? And if not, why not? And if so, how many?
Okay, so as of last week, checks have been cut. They're for the people who turned in complete and eligible applications in the first batch before the November 30th deadline. So if you're one of those people that haven't been contacted for your application to be adjusted or to make any changes, and you turned in your application before November 30th, then you should be expecting a check. And we're still urging fishermen or registered fishermen to turn in the applications. As of right now, we have about 150 complete applications sent to the commission to be reviewed so that more checks can be cut.
Do you have a total dollar amount and the number of checks?
I've requested for the running list of that number, but they haven't sent me the list yet.
Do those checks get printed out of like DOA?
No, the check is coming from the Pacific State Marine Fisheries Commission.
Okay. And then are there any other relief coming down with this latest American Rescue Plan? Is there any other relief for fishermen?
We've been told that there is a second round of relief for fishers, but we haven't been given any details yet.
Okay. And so, Chelsea, I know you haven't got any details yet, but I'm assuming like the EIP, if it is similar, is it going to be quicker because you've already kind of stood up this program?
Yes, because we already have the process in place with most of the fine tuning done with the commission. It should be a lot quicker the second time around.
Okay. And
actually, it should be a lot quicker for processing now because we got that first batch through.
Right. So can you still register to be a fisherman, to be eligible to apply for relief?
We're going to be able to assess that once we find out what the details are for the second round.
Right.
We do have that on the back burner. We keep that in mind that there are people who were not able to register the first time. We want to be able to expand, but we just need to find out if there are any restrictions on the second round of funding.
Okay. But for this round, the deadline passed November 30th, right? Okay.
Yes, but people can still apply if they registered by, actually that was in July. Yeah.
Okay. And so keep us posted about whatever the second round is going to be when you get more details.
Sure.
Let's go to Dr. Glenn Dula, Invasive Species Coordinator in Biosecurity. Whoa, that's like quite a title there, Doc.
Yeah. Hey, Chris. Someone put a doctor in front of my name. Okay.
Are you a doctor?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
No one usually calls me that. But yeah, so I'm part of the biosecurity division. So we coordinate programs that try to ensure that different invasive species here on Guam don't go out into the outer islands. And as well, we play a big role in doing inspections and permitting products coming into the island to prevent other invasive species coming into Guam. So we work on stuff like coconut rhinoceros beetle, little fire ants. We just picked up another agriculturalist whose specialty is honeybees, and his focus is working on the greater banded hornet.
The murder hornet, right?
Thing. I'm sorry, go ahead.
The murder hornet?
No, not the murder hornet, but so the murder hornet is in Washington and Canada.
Got it. Yeah.
In Guam, we have
the assault and battery hornet.
Yeah. So like the murder hornet has a lot of press because it's in the continental United States. But if you compare Washington murder hornet and our hornet, our hornet's actually a little bit bigger and
that's what
more impressive.
Yeah, I know. That's what I hear. We have bigger hornets here, and they sting.
Chris gets calls daily, trying to help people out in the community.
I mean, those things those suckers are huge. When you see them, it's like, oh my god! And I'm seeing more of them. Yeah, right there. Look at that, Jay.
Yeah, they're pretty big, about the size of your thumb.
A lot of protein in there, though. We need to come up with a hornet recipe contest.
Oh, yeah, your own risk.
Right. What about the little fire ants? And Jathan, are you on with Glenn?
No, I think he's in a different building.
Okay, no. So Dr. Glenn, the little fire ants, like, man, how do you get rid of those guys? Because those are the worst. I feel like I'm in a constant struggle to keep them from coming in the house, and they're all like at the edges, the window. You know what I mean? They want in, but they don't like the aircon.
Well, you can give us a call, Chris. You know, we go out to the community. If you have a little fire ant problem, we'll help you figure it out. But usually it's like anywhere from an 8 to 10 month process to get rid of them. You know, so what we really try to preach, like if you have the money and the resources to get rid of them, you can. But we try to preach prevention. So we try to tell people, you know, if you bring in plants into your house, or if you get a banana tree from your auntie or uncle, you know, make sure there's nothing in it before you bring it into your house. Because once it's established in your property, it's almost becomes like a forever problem.
Right. Yeah. That's why I gave up.
No, don't give up. Don't give up, because your problem becomes your neighbor's problem. And your other
they're
problem.
everywhere, Glenn. I mean, I read some statistic like it was something in a small area you can find like 3 million of these fire ants, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, but if you're persistent, you know, we've been really successful. We're working with Christine on getting rid of all the little fire ants out of their conservation forests. And, you know, out of the 30 acres that we've been, working on over the course of maybe 2 years now, it's almost gone.
Wow.
You know, now we're working on the community adjacent to the conservation forest, so they get rid of their little fire ants, so we don't have to worry about them infesting the conservation forest again.
Real quick,
so you know, the community island-wide project. Don't give up.
What are
It just makes it harder for me.
What are home remedies? Are there any home remedies that kill these little fire ants, or do you got to get chemicals?
No, there's a lot of stuff you can buy at Home Depot. Not a lot, but there are pesticides you can buy at Home Depot that are safe for in-home use.
Okay.
You just gotta know how to use them.
Real quick,
just call us and we'll come out to you.
Dr. Glenn, I want to ask you about importing plants. Are you guys finding out a lot of people are importing invasive plant species for sale?
Yeah, we get the occasional report, and all it is really is a little bit more outreach and education. A lot of the businesses understand that they're not supposed to be selling invasive species. They just don't know what's invasive. Like a lot of things on the island have been here forever. It's like, oh, okay, I see this growing out on the side of the road. You know, and I see it everywhere. So, you know, it's a pretty plant. Let's sell it. Everyone must love it, you know, but they just don't realize what they're doing. They're just contributing to the problem. So usually we have commodity inspectors. They go out. They don't try to lay the hammer down, but they try to explain, you know, the environmental impacts of spreading more invasive species and plants like that.
Thank you, Dr. Glenn. And guys, be careful, because it's not just like plants and trees that you get from relatives or your prims or your parties or whatever. I mean, I've gotten like bananas from friends or, other type of gulai, and they'll have the ants like I got a couple bunches of bananas. I got home, opened it up, and it was just like little red fire ants everywhere. So I don't know if you get the stuff, make sure you check it out before you get in the house. Let's switch gears over to Chris Leon Guerrero, who is the nursery hobbit over there at the Department of Agriculture. Chris, you guys are pretty busy now that PCOR 3 is up and running. Are people coming in and getting, what do you guys got there at the nursery?
Yeah, so we've received an uptick of people coming in here into the nursery. There's been like a renewed interest in gardening and stuff. And so we are trying to meet the needs of the community by, sprouting a lot more varieties of vegetables and fruit trees that, we haven't been really carrying consistently over the years. So yeah, I think things are going along pretty well. And so anyone who's interested in gardening, stop by Department of Agriculture Plant Nursery and check us out. I think they'll be kind of like pleased to see that we've ramped up our production. So, yeah.
Chris, do you have any tips on the local plum tomatoes? Seedlings.
Yeah, so I've heard that that was a pretty popular event, and actually there were people calling in for tips and like growing advice and stuff. And so basically, the tomatoes, they love a lot of sunshine, and if you go to your average hardware store out there, you'll see that they have tomato and vegetable fertilizers, and it's just a matter of following the directions. Because that kind of just forms like conditions that are right for diseases that hit tomatoes. So you're going to want to water at the bottom of the plant and not really wet the leaves.
Yeah, because when I watered the leaves are like, no, stop. They were. No, serious, Chris. I know the Chief Justice is listening. She's like, yeah, water the leaves, you idiot.
Yeah.
We're in a challenge, guys. We're in a challenge with Chief Justice Gatewood of the District Court with this tomato seedling thing that they're doing for Law Month. So that's kind of what we're talking about. Chris, thank you.
Thank you.
And let's move on to.
Wait, Chris,
go ahead. Yes.
You should also. That's who you can schedule your visit with, so you can take a look. He has coffee. He has strawberries. He's trying to sprout blueberries. He's got pandanus? I forgot what was it. It is pandanus. I think he's growing out there too. He's got a lot of amazing stuff.
That sounds great.
He's being very modest.
What are the hours there, Chris?
So we're open Monday through Friday from 12 to 1, and then 8 to 12, and then 1 to 4:30. Sorry.
Got it. Okay. Let's move along quickly here. Jathan, what do you got for us?
Morning, Chris. So
morning.
The last time we were on, Guam Department of Agriculture was awarded $121,000 by USDA AMS for micro grant for food security program is the name of the grant. Hello?
We can hear you.
Got it. You're on.
Yeah, so the goal is to support food insecure communities that import a significant amount of food. There are two types of competitive grants, again, one for individuals and one for NGOs. For individuals, they may apply for a maximum of $5,000 per year. Their projects can be for 1 year or 3 years, a maximum of 3 years. And for NGOs, it's $10,000 per year for a maximum of 3 years. But for the NGOs, the language is kind of specific. The listed organizations are religious organizations, food banks, and food pantries. Those are the only types of nonprofits that can apply for the grant.
Is this all on the website?
That's pretty much it. Yes, sir. It's you can visit us on our DOAG website's resource page, the www.rdoag.guam.gov.
Okay, I'll have Jason throw that in the comments. Thank you, Jathan. Christine, let's close it out. Christine, she's the forestry chief.
Yep. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
So I'll wrap it up with some outreach. It's still dry season. It's been raining. This has been awesome, but it's still dry season. So we are not actively planting. We are promoting education through outreach, through education opportunities. So educators can email us, message us at our it's at DOAGforestry.forestry. We've updated our Instagram and Facebook username. So DOAG.forestry.
Oh.
And we have curriculum that we can give a link to and or a thumb drive to, while supplies last, to educators. And it'll teach students about fire here on the island and how it occurs. And then we also are offering for heading into Earth Month. So the week of Earth Day, we're going to have an outreach event at Kotal Conservation Area. And it's sort of like we're theming this around a reconnection to our resources. And because you have water, you have hiking, you have the Tarzan pools and Tarzan Falls in this location. So it's a nice bring us all back to nature and get out and do some great hiking and exploration.
Nice.
So more to come on that.
Yeah, we'll get you on closer to Earth Day, Christina, talk about that. Chelsea, thank you. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, for anyone else interested leading up to Earth Month, we did have a GDOE librarians field trip out to the site. And so that has always been one of our popular events. And I wanted to mention that this is a way you can still we can get virtual tours. We can get you engaged and outside. If you can't bring your classroom to us or your class to us, we can engage you by taking you out virtually and going through the site with you.
Nice.
So it's just a way to promote. You can still be connected even if you can't come to the sites.
Thank you, Christine. Right on. Chelsea, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Always
Thanks
a
for letting
pleasure.
me bring our whole team.
Of course. Next time, Jathan, bring empanada.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you guys. There you go.
Bye.
Department of Ag Hour on the link. There's a lot of stuff going on with it. Right. Go on their website, Jay. It's Jay's going to put it in the comments here. They got that fisheries grant. So if you had applied for that, I don't know if you maybe forgot because it's been a minute, but they are cutting the checks. They have released some checks, so be on the lookout for that. And we'll also keep you posted about a second round of proposed relief for fishermen through the American Rescue Plan there on the federal level. Jathan was also talking about a food security grant. This is for gardeners and nonprofits. So you guys, if you have like a home garden, there's a chance you could qualify and be eligible for these grant monies to just really kick up your home garden in the name of food security. 7:37 now. We'll get right back into it with Department of Labor Director Dave Della Sola. Lots to talk about this morning. Dave, thank you for joining us, and thanks for the wait. Sorry.
I'm sorry, what was that? I missed it.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Sabrina.
Good morning.
And of course, well, we'll just start here with the Sabrina. There was a huge story out of KUM News here. Former Guam Department of Labor employee pleads guilty to PUA and FPUC fraud.
Yeah, and I spoke with you over the phone yesterday, but not everybody got to hear that conversation that we had, and I think I really just wanted to highlight the fact that yes, there was a GDOL employee, he's no longer employed there, that entered this plea agreement, but just so people understand that this was something that was initiated by GDOL and your staff. Correct?
Thank you for pointing that out. That's and one other small thing that I wanted to make sure is clear is that he wasn't a permanent full-time employee.
Okay.
He was a temporary PUA employee that worked at 311. Huge difference.
Right.
I know in the court case they say he's a full-time, so he is a full-time, and they just didn't kind of qualify it a little bit more as saying a temporary PUA hire. And you've always heard me talk about 311 and how hard it is to get them trained and get them vetted and ensure that these guys are privy to huge amounts of private information, and they have to understand the system well enough to go in and work it and fix claims. And the one thing about our system is every keystroke, wherever you go, whatever you do in that system is recorded. So it doesn't matter where, what, or when you do. As soon as you get on that system, they know who you are and what you're doing. So that helped us. So yes, it's unfortunate, but this isn't the first or the last of fraud or theft that we brought forward. And as I've mentioned to you guys before, this is always an ongoing effort. And I just want to thank the FBI. They were on top of this. They helped us. We gave them what we had, and they took it running. And they came through with a very quick time. If you noticed, typically the wheels of justice do not run that quickly.
Right.
And they, we asked them to move this quickly because we wanted the island to know that we were serious about fraud and theft. And whether it comes from claimants falsely changing documents or putting in false claims, or whether it comes from people off island trying to file and get our local allotted money on Guam, or if it comes from in-house. We will do our due diligence, and we do our own policing, and when we find something, we move it forward to the feds, to the right authorities, and we have a great working relationship with them. And I just want to thank them again for working so quickly. And it's unfortunate that this had to happen, but that's just the way things go, and we just keep moving forward.
Dave, as the PUA FPUG recipient whose money was routed from you guys to what's his name? Jerome Michael Cruz's bank account. Has that person received the money back already, or?
All those details were turned over to the feds, and once they take it over, we just support and work with them. We don't get into the nitty gritty of where, what, and when, and where the funds are doing. It'll all be worked out, after this week when this whole case, is sentenced and closed. That's why I still don't want to talk too much about anything because it isn't a done deal yet. Sentencing is Thursday.
Right.
How many other fraud cases have you forwarded to the feds?
Oh, we've had, dozens. And like I said, the whole gamut of from people doctoring their documents and filing claims to making up, lying on their claims. I mean, it all varies in degrees of, how much or if they got anything. So all I'm saying is that this isn't the first or the last, and we continue. We just want to ensure that the island sees what's going on so that it becomes a deterrent, because I don't take any pleasure doing this or to anybody. But if you're going to try to do it, know that there are federal repercussions. And so I hope that people see this as a lesson learned, that no matter where it comes from, I'm going to run a clean program, and I'm going to get the money out as quickly as possible. Yesterday we batched $21.7 million in 2 weeks. $21.7 million. That is huge money, and we're coming up to $600 million being given out. And this program is such a huge program. Every time we batch, we have hundreds of return, direct, wire transfers for wrong information. We have to balance. We have overpayments. We have appeals. We have, and then we have fraud. All these things that we have to deal with, and it is so overwhelming. And hiring people, I think Chris, last time you spoke, you said, we'll just hire more people. Now you see why, we have to vet them very carefully, because they are privy to such private information. And then we have to train them up. And, this program keeps expiring and then keeps extending. So we have to have a balance of, okay, let's, because once the program expires, all those staff are going to shift over to closeout, overpayments, appeals. And it just keeps getting extended. So, we're trying to get more people on and getting them trained. And, it's a bear of a program, but I honestly feel that, our staff are doing an excellent job and working tirelessly to ensure that we get the money out.
Any
Thank
other?
you for letting me do that speech.
Any other employees? Have you had to let anybody else go other than Jerome Michael Cruz? Any other cases that involve anybody from GDOL?
No. We did let go all the PUA staff that lent him their login information.
Wow. Are they facing any charges?
No, they were just stupid enough to give out their, you know how it is when you walk, and I'm sure Sabrina, if Chris said, hey, Ambija, I need to try to do this. You guys work together hand in hand. You know how we are.
We all know Sabrina's passcode for her iPhone. That's what kind of company we're running here.
Yeah, and they worked 7 days a week, at the beginning, long hours, and they thought that they were helping him help other people. Wow. But they signed a code that for confidentiality and for protection of information. And when they violated that, of course we let them go, even though they were innocent of any wrongdoing other than being, sharing your login information, which is a no-no.
How many employees are we talking about?
Just a couple.
Like two? There's a couple, right?
No one was suspicious when this dude showed up to work in a brand new Camaro?
This kind of happened a little bit afterwards.
Oh.
And like I said, it takes a while to build the case up.
I guess, since you are the director, when you heard about this, what went through your mind?
I bet you were pissed.
Of course.
Did you throw anything or?
We've been dealing with fraud since the beginning of this program. You don't know how pissed is, getting thousands of people from the States trying to apply here on Guam would have no connection to the workforce. And then them calling us up and demanding that we're late in paying them. And, what's wrong? They're going to, report us. That's how brazen. And, and they clog up our 311 lines because I literally have thousands of people in the States calling in the 311, demanding they're being paid. And, these are just the things that the public here don't understand. Why is your 311 so full? Because I got, not only do I have enough people here calling in, but I got tens of thousands from the States calling in demanding payment. And it's just a bear of a system. And people, that's what pisses me off. And they demanding to see me, they're demanding to do that, and this is crazy.
Dave,
just what we have to do on a daily basis.
I was talking with a friend of mine last night, a small business owner, really small, like mom and pop store. And he was telling me, and I'm going to tie this in with the job search requirement, but he was telling me that people are having a hard time hiring folks because people who are unemployed are on the PUA and the FPUC, and they actually would make less money if they went to work a, quote unquote, real job, right? And so what we're seeing here, at least anecdotally with this friend of mine, but he's saying that that's what everyone's talking about, is they're having a hard time hiring a lot of entry-level positions, right? Which hampers our ability to reopen. So at what point do we, now that we're, God, I feel like it's Peace Corps 4 already. At what point are we going to require some of these people on the PUA and the FPUC to go out there and be looking for jobs?
That's what I'm monitoring. And yes, Chris, you're right. I'm starting to hear stories about it too. And again, as you know, that we, and of course I just got so much information, but the employers can report these people that they are trying to get back and they refuse to come back. And we will turn them off. It's as simple as that after we vet them out. So there is an email address. I don't know it off the top of my head. We have so many email addresses, but I'll be glad to give it to you a little later. That they can, any employer that calls their employee back and they don't want to come back or they're giving stories, they can report them and we will shut them off. But in answer to your question, I am aware I am monitoring. I speak to the different, employer groups, and when I feel that, everybody's opening enough, I will talk to the governor, and we will discuss about lifting the job search requirement, which, will be coming down. I'm just waiting for the island to open up enough.
So is that that's a call that you make, or the governor makes, or
the governor makes? But if you read the executive order, it's either PCOR 4 or if the governor changed with consultation with the director of labor. So I am constantly keeping my finger on the pulse of the businesses and the way they're opening. And when I feel that it is opened enough, remember, there a couple here and there opening up and having a hard time doesn't justify me to release tens of thousands of people to go out and start doing 3 job search every week. I have to have a balance when I feel it's open enough, and I just when I feel that is true, or if the governor feels it's true, it's at her discretion. Why do you think it's honestly opened up enough for making everybody job search? It's getting close, but do you think it's opened up enough yet?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Dave, I don't have any scientific data, but when I go around, it does seem like, there was traffic. I was stuck in traffic yesterday, guys. There's traffic out there.
That different?
Yeah, it is.
That's different. Isn't it different that you get spoiled going on the roads and being able to go to wherever you want to go? If I want to run down in Tumon after work, I can get there in 10 minutes. But now it's like, what? All this traffic?
Right.
Down in Tumon?
A few months ago, you could run in the middle of the road in Tumon, and it wouldn't even be an issue. Dave, anything in closing? Am I missing anything, Bree?
No, we just continue to monitor the fraud and theft, and it's unfortunate that we started out with an in-house one, but I just want to show the island that I mean business. Our staff, I got to congratulate them for catching this and putting together the package of information, and of course the FBI. It's different working with the FBI. It's not something that I'm familiar with, but thank God. And they're very professional, and they work quickly, and we continue to work with them. And the OIG, we get emails from the OIG asking for data information and this and that on claimants, and that is just another thing that we do as we continue to move this program forward. We hope that we can move into what we call tier 3 of the program, which is the Biden plan, seamlessly before the next batching. Tomorrow I have heavy duty meetings with our programmers, and USDOL is starting to release some of the guidances as we speak. So it's a scramble to hurry up and get this in place so that not only Guam, but the nation, which we are running parallel with as far as on the timetable, can continue to get this program through September.
Dave, we had a comment here. Other than 311, is there another hotline to call or email to reactivate an account?
No, 311 is the only one, but they can go to either Dedido Library or Jotnia Library as a walk-in, and if they can fit them in, they will see them. And if they can't, they will give them an appointment, and which they can get 1-to-1. So those are 3 different ways that they can hopefully get serviced.
Dave, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you guys for getting the information out and allowing me to come and speak. I appreciate it very much.
Oh, good job. Thank you,
Thank
Dave.
you.
Appreciate it. We'll see you.
Stay safe.
Let's get right back into the KUAM News Zoom room here on the link, where we have Bernie Guinness, the Deputy Director of the Department of Administration. Just looking for an update here. Bernie, real quick. Hi, Bernie. Are you there?
Hi, good morning, Sabrina.
Good morning.
We can't see you though.
Bernie would.
I know, I'm waiting for Jason to let me in. I also have Audrey DePasna with me as well.
Oh,
Hi,
Bernie.
Audrey.
Bernie, would you happen to have is there
Oh,
cover
shoot.
on your
Yeah, no,
website?
I got it. Now.
No,
Got it.
No, it happens all the time. No worries about it. I've done it 100 times this week.
I have Audrey with me too. Where's Audrey? I can't see. Am I blocking her?
There she
All right.
is.
Hi, Audrey.
There you go.
Good
Okay.
morning. Yeah, so, basically we wanted to get you guys on here. We had Mr. Bunn on last week, and he provided us an update with the ERA program. And at the time, I believe he said there were about 800 or 850 people. Maybe even 750. I can't remember.
Yeah, now we've got, as far as the application counts, we are up to 1,500 already. That's inclusive of emails and hard copies that were dropped off to our office. Just really quick updates. As far as the system, our internal in-house system that we have, that has been completed. We are doing some user testings, and then our training for our staff to go ahead and input all of the applications in. But in parallel, we're also working, we have a review team that is also doing reviews manually. So at this point, as far as the manual review, we are up to 270 applications that have been reviewed. Out of that 270, we're very pleased to say about 150 have pre-qualified. And then about, give or take, about another 50 that has been disqualified based on what they submitted in their application. And then the remaining is something that we have to kind of reach out to them and get more information from the actual individuals. I mean, it's quite a tedious process to kind of go through all the applications. You kind of hear all the stories. We make contact with them if they're missing information. So we also want to reiterate to all of those who are applying to make sure that they complete it properly. And if there's any questions in reference to a question, something that they're not too sure of, to just give us a call so that we can assist them. It just really helps with the review process.
What are some of the common problems then that you're seeing with the applications in terms of not
sometimes they don't. Yeah, sometimes they don't put any information. They'll check if they'll say that they're not in arrears, but then on another question they'll say that they are behind. So it's a little bit conflicting. And then also they may not put any information in reference to any kind of income, but they're not showing anything else. So we just what we do is we'll make that phone call and just do a reassessment and just reconfirm to just make sure that they understand what information that they're putting into the application. But like I said, we're very thankful that we at least got 150 qualified as of now. We are looking into, so compiling that list, we're looking into generating those letters, the notifications to these individuals via whatever contact information that they place in their application via email or through mail. And then also getting them those documents that entails like the landlord's verification, some other information that we're going to be required so that we can prepare the payments out to them. Keep in mind that payments will be made directly to the landlords. If it's utilities, we are working with the utilities agency. We already have a really good connection and established a good partnership with them that will provide them the names of those who are in arrears, and then they'll reconcile against their listing. And then we will work towards getting those payments made out.
Bernie, what are some of the reasons why people are not qualifying for this assistance?
Did you want to? Audrey can
Go ahead and answer that, Chris. Some of the reasons reviewing the applications for tenants, some may be because of their income. It exceeds the 80% area median income threshold. Some of that is due to, although they've been affected by COVID, they lost their employment, but they're receiving PUA. So PUA is one of the qualifications for the program, but we still need to assess the amount they're receiving in PUA. And I recall a couple of applications I reviewed the other day. It's a family of 3, but both mom and dad are receiving PUA. So when we add that up and come up with their annual income, it exceeds the family of 3.
Wow.
Other reasons that they may be disqualified is some of them may have lost their job prior to COVID, but because they're unemployed and they're having a hard time paying their rent, they're thinking it's rental assistance. So, but they have to remember that there has to be some kind of connection with the pandemic. Maybe they may not have lost their job, maybe they just have reduced hours, or maybe even someone in the household who was assisting with paying rent was maybe was positive for COVID, and then they weren't able to go to work. So it's things like that we've been seeing. A lot of the reasons have been because of over income.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Because when I saw the income chart, it looked like it was, kind of hard to qualify for a lot of people. Because it's so weird with this pandemic. People who aren't necessarily at the bottom rung of the economic ladder have also struggled, but may not qualify for these programs. You know what? I asked about reasons people aren't qualifying because I got a message from a business lady friend of mine who said that she knew that businesses were applying for the ERA, but they're totally not eligible for it, right? It's strictly for individual renters.
For rental, for not commercial.
It's residential.
But I mean, we have, a lot of landlords and property managers who are submitting on behalf of their tenants. They send it in batches. So we work one-on-one with them, just trying to get all that information, ensuring that their information is complete. Certainly there is concern. I got an email and actually a phone message, but I'll respond to him a little later. Questions on when the landlord application will be available, because certainly that's another aspect of this program that we'd like to reach out to. So just to kind of answer that, we are anticipating for the landlord application, because right now it's tenant. So for the landlords, we're looking at sometime March 29th to roll out their applications. We kind of finalize the preparation of it, but we are just kind of putting the SOPs together. So we're looking to roll that out on the 29th. So they can apply on behalf of the tenant. Also, I wanted to kind of point out the March 19th was the initial date that we set for the end of this particular phase 1 period. We have extended it to the 26th, simply because last week we had some issues with our emails and the system kind of went down, and also the DOA website went down for a little bit. But just to ensure that we capture everyone, we kind of extended another week for individuals, for tenants to go ahead and apply as well. And on top of that, there is additional, I mentioned last week, I mentioned that there are additional sites that we want to, for other drop-off sites that they can go ahead and submit their documentation. We'll go ahead and put that out also in the press release sometime today.
All right.
I wonder if there was any clarification, because when Mr. Byrne was on here last week, he was mentioning the need for clarification on situations where people who lived in a particular household were, renting rooms from family members within that same household. Do you have any update on that? And is that allowable?
As part of, and we recognize that, and through phone conversations, we contact a lot of people, and through phone conversations, we recognize that there are folks that, that they rent out to a family member, or in order to compensate the landlord, they have to ensure that there is a business license, or they provide us with a W-9, and that's specified within the guidelines of our documentation. So
it is a federal requirement that the landlords have to legally, in business, to be able to lease out or rent out their, whether it be a room or their.
So no under the table.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that we are seeing some of that already, but we have to make sure that we
compliance
as a grantee that we are complying with the federal requirements.
Yeah.
I know you just had labor on the floor, and part of those federal requirements is
die out of federal.
Yeah,
and we're doing our due diligence as well too. So we're trying to establish we've established our protocols as well as far as quality checks and prevention of fraud.
Right, Bernie. So going back, you said
Have you been seeing people try to defraud the program?
No, not at this time. I mean, certainly we take whatever what they put on Facebook. On their application. Yeah. We do make the phone calls and then just to verify, because sometimes information like, oh, what is this exactly? So there's constant communication. It's not. There's really a lot of follow-ups with the applications that we're recognizing that needs to be done.
Bernie,
and we will do so. Yes, sir.
Sorry, you said so. You reviewed 270 applications. Of the 270, how many were approved?
About 150 were pre-qualified.
I see.
So we are preparing the listing and then getting that notification out via email, through mail, contacting probably through the phone. And some people too, they have to ensure that they make sure they put a contact number or an email or a mailing address. Trust me, there are some that don't have any. So we're kind of like, okay, let's put that to the side and see if we can communicate with maybe one of their, maybe if they put like a workplace, then we'll try to communicate with them to their workplace.
And I think it's important too that we let everybody know that the contact information that they do put on their application, that it is current. Believe it or not, you come across where their contact number is actually a wrong number. And it's so important that all the tenants fill, or even the landlords who are assisting these tenants, that they fill out the application with the correct information, the most updated, especially with contact information, because anything that needs the staff to contact them to verify, it's really just putting an additional delay on having DOA process their application. It's so important, that, if they don't have a contact number, some folks can use maybe their neighbors or their aunties or a relative's phone number. They can even indicate in the application, this is my next door neighbor, their name, and just, things like that, because it is, reality that some folks may not have an actual cell number or a home telephone that we can reach them.
The last time you ladies were on, we asked about when could we possibly see the first checks cut, and I believe you mentioned it's first week of April. Is that still kind of what you're looking at?
Yeah, that's pretty much our target date, simply because if we anticipate letting out letters today and tomorrow to those 150, we are going to give them about, 5 days, 5 to 10, up to 10 days for them to submit their documentation. However, keep in mind, some of those folks, even though we didn't request for it, we didn't require it initially, they did provide their arrears and their lease agreements, even some original lease agreements, which we don't want originals, but they did provide that. So that kind of makes it a little bit easier on us. But we will have to still provide them a checklist. There's a packet that we will have to reach out to them. They will have to complete it. Again, it has the landlord information, and also the release forms from the utility agencies as well. So we do anticipate the first week of April to get some of these checks out, and that's our goal.
All right. Was there anything else before we let you go?
Just really quick, there is this, we will, like I said, we'll put out a press release giving you some of the new sites for drop-offs. There is another email address that they can also reach out to us. The first one was the era@doa.guam.gov. But we did create another email address just in case if there's anything, the system kind of goes wonky, if there's some issues in reference to to our emails. So that second email address is era@guam.gov. So that is also placed on our DOA website, and then we'll also release that as well on a press release.
era.guam.gov?
Correct.
Okay. Well, thank you.
All right,
Thanks, Audrey.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Bernie. Okay,
we'll keep in touch. Thank you.
That's all right. There you go. Well, it sounds like they're working with that.
Yeah. Well, when Burns was on last week, he said, this is one of the smoothest running programs.
Yeah. And Bernie, the new deputy over there, ran the whole census office. So I think logistically, seems to be working out there. You know what's interesting to me though, Bree, is the low number of people who are not approved but pre-qualified, right? So it's like what, under 50%?
Well, no. So they had 1,500 applications. 270 reviewed. So out of the 270 as of right now, 150 have pre-qualified. 50 have been disqualified.
Okay. So what about the other?
They're still reviewing it. You know, this just started on the 13th.
Right on.
So when you think about it, right, the pre-applications, you can start applying the 13th.
It's only been 4 days.
It's not the 13th. No.
No, it was earlier than that.
It definitely was this month, though.
Yeah, it was this month.
But it's been pretty quick, actually.
Right on. Guys, we just
March
lost.
3rd, sorry, March
we're
3rd.
supposed to get Senator Talina Nelson on, but she just pulled out. So.
Okay. Is there a hearing today?
Is there? I don't know. No, she's not feeling well.
Oh, okay. We'll hope you feel better.
Yeah, definitely.
Eat
some kadu.
They did the tour of the port.
That was a few days ago. I saw it on her Instagram.
Yeah. They sent out a release. Her, I think,
Speaker.
Vice Speaker and the Speaker.
Right.
And Senator Amanda Shelton.
That's right. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. We'll see if she throws us a makeup date, and we'll get her on. It's 8:12. We're gonna take a quick break. Superintendent John Fernandez. Oh yes, KUAM TV. Man, you guys are really great this morning. Appreciate it. It's really good to drink coffee with you guys and to wake up and do this show with you guys right here. Man, you are appreciated. There's a lot of great programming coming up on KUAM TV. Okay, my name's Chris.
I'm Sabrina.
KUAM TV Land está Adios! And we're back. Okay, on the radio side, which is just one little tiny weeny part of our multimedia morning attack, we're KUAM FM and Agotni Guam, The Breeze, 93.9, 813. Quick break, and we're back with more of The Link next. Good morning.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Catch a wave of fish and seafood available throughout the Lenten season at King's Restaurant. The Lent menu has a tsunami of all your favorites like deep fried parrotfish, fried calamari, and the Lent sampler. All are sure to be a splash hit. It's the Lent menu at King's.
Only one company on Guam provides every solar energy solution under one roof, Micronesia Renewable Energy. You want solar only? They got that. You want solar with batteries? They got that too. You want outright purchase or lease purchase? It's up to you. Does your solar system need a tune-up? That's what they do. For solar energy solutions from A to Z, you can count on MRE. Give them a call at 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, providing real solar solutions built by real solar experts.
Half a day. Does your child have a hearing loss? We are parents of deaf and hard of hearing children and volunteers with Guam's Positive Parents Together, and we are here for you. We know how you feel and have walked in your shoes. We want to help you navigate your way through our educational and medical systems, and most especially, your emotional journey. Please visit us at www.guamparents.org for more information.
Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
KUAM Communications salutes women small business entrepreneurs during Women's History Month with a special community feature, Women Driven. Every Monday in March, tune into KUAM News Primetime for a showcase of women entrepreneurs working in our community and the businesses they own and operate. Also catch the daily women-driven profiles, flooding the digital media platforms of KUAM News for professional features on many of these hardworking women. Celebrate Women's History Month with Women Driven on the multi-platforms of KUAM, presented by Cars Plus and Bank of Guam.
Swim on in for Ruby Tuesday Seafood Sensations and enjoy your favorites from the sea in perfect time for Lent. Get hooked on lobster mac and cheese, the salmon loco moco, or the deep sea pasta. There's a bounty waiting for you on the RT Seafood Sensations menu at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
Join KUAM and Punta Dos Montes for the Mes Chamorro Masterclass Series, an informative digital series for demonstrations throughout Mes Chamorro. Catch the Mes Chamorro Masterclass Series weekly on the KUAM News Facebook page, the KUAM YouTube channel, and every Saturday in March following the KUAM News Weekend Edition at 6:30 p.m. on TV8 and 7:30 on TV11. We'll highlight Guam's talented crafters and artisans teaching artisanal skills of our Chamorro heritage. Viva Mes Chamorro! From Punta Dos Montes and KUAM Communications. See KUAM.com for the complete Mes Chamorro Masterclass Series schedule.
The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage, with generations of Filipinos calling Guam home. KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by the Bank of Guam and KFC.
Don't drink martinis, don't smoke cigars. I don't wanna go to town, just feel the breeze and the sun. I'm with my friends when the work is done. Relax in the shade. We're easy to please, we're hanging around and we're slowing way down. And we don't wanna go to town. What is paradise to you? A 4-star hotel with a view, or just a backyard barbecue? I don't wanna go to town. Paradise isn't found or lost. You pay the price, then check the cost. Breathe the tourist bus exhaust. I don't wanna go to town, just feel the breeze and the sun. I'm with my friends when the work is done. Relax in the shade. We're easy to please, we're hanging around and we're slowing way down. And we don't wanna go to town. Concrete jungle and plastic trees. I'm going broke on shopping sprees. Everything that you don't need. We don't wanna go to town. Late afternoon, can you stick around? I'll call the boys, we'll drink 'em down and cook the food and then we chow. We don't wanna go to town, just feel the breeze and the sun. I'm with my friends when the work is done. Relax in the shade. We're easy to please, we're hanging around and we're slowing way down. And we don't wanna go to town.
Hey, it's the Link on the Breeze, 820, Mike Siegel, EPAN in the house. I don't want to go to town. Good morning on you. The show is proudly brought to you by East West Rental, IT&E, Carrier, and Calvo Enterprises. It's the Link coming up. Superintendent John Fernandez of the Guam Department of Education. Also Dr. Michael our Physicians Advisory Group Education Chair. Mark Scott from the Guam Guard. Let's go ahead and take a look at news.
Okay.
With the very latest from the KUAM News team. Good morning, Sabrina Salas-Mantanani.
Half a day, everybody. We're going to start by taking a look at some of the headlines that the news team has been working on. With more is KUAM's Tyler Mazzanani.
One and 10 half a day, everyone. I'm Tyler Mazzanani with your headlines here on The Link. Early Tuesday morning, the island recorded its 4th traffic-related fatality of the year. An Air Force airman is dead after a motorcycle crash occurred along Santos Hill in Tumon. According to Guam Police Department spokesperson Sergeant Paul Tapao, at this rate, we will be experiencing nearly 2 roadway-related deaths per month.
If we continue this track, we are going to see a rise in fatalities.
Before sunrise, Guam Police Department officers and Guam Fire medics responded to a single motorcycle crash in Tumon at around 12:45 a.m. According to GPD spokesperson Sergeant Paul Tapao, preliminary reports suggest that a 2011 Harley-Davidson FLTRX was traveling east in the inner lane by Casa de Isa when the male driver lost control of the motorcycle and collided with the raised concrete median, causing the motorcycle to run off the roadway.
The initial contact with the motorcycle was the raised concrete median. Now, whether you're traversing up or down when, in a vehicle, when you hit something that high, it's going to cause your vehicle or whatever you're operating to redirect itself if you're not able to maintain control.
The driver was an Andersen Air Force Base airman. He was immediately transported to Guam Regional Medical City where he was pronounced deceased. Following Department of Defense policy, the name is being withheld until 24 hours after notifying the next of kin. 36th Wing Commander Brigadier General Jeremy Sloan stated in a release, quote, "We are a close-knit family, and when a tragedy like this occurs, every member of Team Andersen feels it. We express our deepest sympathies to the family and friends of the deceased airmen. Our thoughts and prayers are with them, and we are providing every comfort and assistance that we can," unquote. GPD's Highway Patrol Division has been activated. Their investigations are ongoing as they have yet to determine if speed, alcohol, or drugs were factors in the crash. And the work for traffic investigators piles on, as this is the island's 4th fatality of the year.
We've encountered some challenges with identifying and contacting the next of kin. I believe the first 2 crashes. So I met with our traffic investigators yesterday, so I should be getting a summary of the fatals and, of course, identifying the victims of the crash, the 4 crashes that occurred within this year. But coming with the findings, it's really they've yet to conclude the investigation portions.
There have been no arrests made in any of the 4 deaths, and all cases remain open. Sergeant Tapao wants to remind the community to remain vigilant, adhere to traffic laws, especially as we continue to see the island reopening.
The best way, again, in which we can maintain or control the track from an uptick model in fatalities in the roadway is really behavior modifiers from every motorist that should choose, whether to consume alcohol, to just really designate a responsible sober driver. Motorists who are accustomed to texting and driving or to doing other things within their vehicle to really refrain from that and being more attentive on the roadways. And of course, adhering to the posted speed limit.
A former Guam Department of Labor employee has been charged in the District Court of Guam with fraud.
It's a federal program stood up to help the thousands of island residents who were left unemployed, furloughed, and who suffered reduced hours as a result of the COVID pandemic. But for Jerome Michael Cruz, he didn't fit into any of those categories. Instead, he was a full-time employee at the Guam Department of Labor as a customer service representative. Cruz in his position had access to GDOL's computer systems to make, approve, and modify pandemic unemployment assistance and federal pandemic unemployment compensation claims. According to court documents in September of last year, Cruz, while fully employed at GDOL, submitted an application for FPUC and PUA benefits. He lied that he was unemployed and was eligible for benefits under the federal programs. He was able to receive almost $11,000 in benefits he was not entitled to. The following month, in October 2020, Cruz was transferred within GDOL. Court documents state that he lost access to the PUA and FPUC's computer system, but then used the login credentials of another GDOL employee to access the online system. Cruz modified an existing PUA claim for another person to change the payment method from paper check to direct deposit, and to route the benefits to a bank account he controlled. As a result, he was able to obtain a little over $2,400 in fraudulent benefits. In total, Cruz was able to obtain $13,350 in fraudulent benefits, but according to court documents, he tried to obtain an additional $80,000. Guam Department of Labor Director David De La Sola says he was fully aware of the investigation, but it was his staff that informed and forwarded the case about Cruz to the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Quote, I thank the entire efforts of my staff that tirelessly put all this information together so the feds can move on this, unquote, said De La Sola. The director adds that his agency has always wanted to show that they are doing their due diligence to combat fraud. Quote, I hope this will be a reminder to the island that this is a federal funds and that this is not to be taken lightly, unquote. De La Sola thanked the FBI, the Attorney General's Office, and USDOL's Office of Inspector General for their collaboration and ongoing efforts to catch and crack down on fraud. Cruz has entered into a plea agreement and is scheduled to appear before U.S. Magistrate Judge Michael Bordalio on Thursday. He has agreed to plead guilty to charges of federal program theft and accessing protected computer in furtherance of fraud.
Another 2,403 EIP-2 checks totaling over $1.6 million has been processed. The Guam Department of Revenue and Taxation says that the EIP-2 was authorized by the COVID-related Tax Relief Act of 2020. Checks will be mailed out this week. To date, 75,047 EIP-2 checks totaling over $78 million have been processed. March 19, 2021 is the last date that EIP-2 payments will be made. Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene received a gift of Chamorro chip cookies delivered by Delegate Michael Sinicolas and soldiers from the Guam National Guard currently on duty at the nation's capital. A recent viral video of the controversial congresswoman, in which she included Guam as an example of a foreign country that should not be receiving U.S. assistance, sparked ridicule and anger both locally and nationally. Congressman Sinicolas had said he would deliver the cookies to the freshman colleague, quote, as part of our ongoing outreach to new members to introduce them to our wonderful island of Guam, unquote. Guam Guard Adjutant General Esther Agagi issued a statement saying, quote, we appreciate Congressman Sinicolas' efforts to represent our culture of Anafamalik, our bringing harmony practiced here on Guam. She also thanked Greene for, quote, ultimately helping to raise awareness of Guamanians as American citizens and their rich tradition of service and sacrifice to the nation. Greene was not in her office at the time, and Sinicolas said he had not heard back from her yet. That's the news for now. We'll see y'all at 6 tonight on Primetime.
Congressman Sinicolas, in the meantime, is making national headlines after delivering those Chamorro chip cookies to Georgia Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Congressman Greene on Twitter called out his use of the National Guard service members, tweeting, it's time for our great men and women of the National Guard to go home and be with their families. The Democrats need to stop using them as political theater and drama on Capitol Hill. Shame on Democrats for disrespecting our military. The congressman, in the meantime, also recently posted another video with National Guard service members on Facebook presenting South Carolina Congressman Majority Whip Jim Clyburn with Chicken Caliguin and Titizes as a way to say thank you for the work he's done to include Guam.
Right on.
He was also recently on CNN. We'll have that video a little bit later, as well as the letter that Congressman Greene wrote. I didn't pull it up. Well, she wrote a letter, and so we'll have that a little bit later in our cast.
Yeah. So we're getting Mark Scott of the Guard to come on, and then we'll try and package all this stuff together, because it's really so interesting to me how many different aspects of this whole story there are. You know what's really cool? I did a video a few years ago. I did this video where it was about the war claims. This is before we got the war claims, and I had made the joke that the way into the political establishment with Washington, D.C. is through our food, which is we have the best food in the world. And so, I mean, damn, if we got to like drop Congress people, Chicken Kelligwin or Chalaquiles to get their attention, then let's do it. I mean, I'm not saying we got to have the guard escorting us every time, but definitely,
in the CNN interview, he was saying that, these guard members were touring, Congress. And so
Right.
they came along with him to spread goodwill.
Yeah.
And that's what he did.
Yeah, I know that doesn't mean, and that's of course being from Guam, we definitely want the people representing us to go out there and to spread the message about our island. But I'm just saying that doesn't mean that there are also rules in place for people who wear the uniform and what they have to do. And so that's kind of where this is really just turning into a whole other kind of issues upon issues that we'll get into. With Mark coming up.
Well, yeah, and you got to consider who Marjorie Green is, too,
Right,
at the same time.
Oh, yeah, she's a wacko. Yeah. But that doesn't change what the rules are for people who wear the uniform. 8:31.
So you believe that he's politicizing it?
Well, he's a politician. Yeah, I'm not saying to lock the people in the guard up or anything. I'm just saying it's a political thing because politicians, guess what? They do political things. That's just the nature of the beast. But yeah, do we want like what's her face to Marjorie Green to know more about Guam? My thought on it is a lost cause. She's like so far out there and like.
But it's not just Marjorie Green. He's also trying to spread goodwill throughout other members of Congress, like he did with Mr.
Which
Clyburn.
I said is a good idea. That's good. I think we should give food to everybody. I'm just saying again, I don't know what the rules are with the uniform. That's all. Okay, thanks. 8:33. Good morning. John Fernandez, Superintendent of Education.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I know you didn't bring me on as your resident expert on congressional behavior, but I just have to say, first of all, as a strategic point, I think dried meat would really pull a lot of support.
Dude.
I thought, that would be one, that would get my support, but just because it's just been an issue out there, and if I had to take a look, I don't know the rules for the guard, but I would say there's really nothing. When I think about the word political, I think about partisan, Democrat or Republican.
Right. Yeah.
Seeking votes, seeking to influence a decision. I think it is worthwhile that we have the ability to educate, and I think we have our guard members coming out on COVID-19 education, on good behavior, good citizenship. Unless they were seeking a vote for something that was up in Congress that we were lobbying for, it looks like educating representatives of other states and territories, especially and states and in Congress, in the Senate and the House, when we don't have a vote, that's kind of our only strategy. So,
right. Yeah.
I don't think it's political. I don't know how political it is, but there's nothing Democratic or Republican about making sure that people know that Guam is an American territory and that we've been a part of the United States for over 100 years. So, that's just my argument for in favor of educating our partners around the country.
Mm-hmm.
Tenala Cutney.
But dried meat will do it.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe we do chicken Kelligwin, more chip cookies, and Tenala Cutney.
Tenala Cutney.
Boom. That's it. Everything's passed. We're gonna get 1,200 million in federal. 1,200 million. Man, my math teacher is probably rolling in his grave right now. John, so
I have to bring you back face to face.
Yeah. Let's talk about face to face. So you're telling us that there was a board meeting, and just what is the status with a full return to face? What are parents saying? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Well, we've been through this. First of all, yesterday was the 1 year, kind of anniversary of our shutdown for COVID-19. So it was really appropriate that the board decided to have the meeting in person to kind of show that we, where we've come from then, being able to at least be able to safely conduct meetings in person, to support our teachers and staff who are out there doing face-to-face instruction at the school sites. And I think, through this past year, there really has been a lot of uncertainty and anxiety, but I'd like to think that at this point, we can see that light at the end of the tunnel now. I mean, things seem to be moving in the right direction in terms of really keeping COVID-19 under control in our community. And we see the president's message about vaccination and the goals and the objectives for getting, all American adults vaccinated by, within a certain time frame, and especially, that applies to Guam as well. So if all that, if all that goes as planned, then I can very much see a situation where we are able to more safely reopen schools for face-to-face instruction. I mean, if you can consider that vaccines have been made available to all adults who are interested, across the country. And then, I also understand that the CDC is looking very closely at a study that was just recently released from Massachusetts, where they, where the findings were that that between 6 feet and 3 feet physical distancing, there really isn't a big difference in terms of being able to mitigate COVID-19, so long as you have the face mask, in place. So as long as face masks are a part of your practice, the 3 feet and 6 feet physical distancing may be revisited. So it was the first study that's been produced, and it was coming out of Massachusetts schools. CDC is reviewing it. And I just think if everything kind of goes in the same direction, the vaccines, the review, and the more studies about physical distancing, that we're going to get to a point where the guidance might change from CDC, and we'll be allowed to have even more opportunities to bring kids back face to face. So again, we're preparing, for the situation as is, and we're preparing also for a scenario in which the guidance might get a little, more flexible and allow us to do even more face-to-face instruction for next school year. So the board met yesterday, and we really wanted to just make sure that the board, the management team, and all of our schools were on the same page in terms of the strategy for the next quarter and for over the summer into next school year. So number one, there was definitely a statement that we are looking to promote more opportunities for safe face-to-face instruction. Part of that is being able to fill the available slots that are still there at our schools for face-to-face. So our registration period is ongoing. Families who are interested in their students going back to face-to-face fourth quarter, call your schools, tell them you want to sign up for face-to-face, and we will work your student into face-to-face instruction this quarter if that's what you would like to do. Number one. Number two is that we are looking at schools and being able to provide multiple days of face-to-face instruction depending on the numbers that of registered students this week. So we're going to look at those numbers at the end of the week, and the schools who can accommodate multiple days of instruction, we're going to determine how they can move forward in accommodating those families who are on face-to-face. And then of course, next week, or actually starting today, but going into April, will be our early registration process for the coming school year. So another major decision that the board made was to really put it in writing that hard copy will be, the hard copy model of learning will be eliminated by the end of the school year. So that means that next school year, we will be offering online and face-to-face instruction for our students. And we'll be using this next quarter to transition our hard copy students to one or the other models. Obviously, if they want to go face-to-face, they can do it fourth quarter or register just to start next school year. If they want to move online, we're happy that to report that our laptops that we had ordered have arrived on Guam. So we're able to provide sufficient numbers of laptops. And then the internet access, again, we're in this final stage. We're timing it at by the end of the month. So, definitely before April 1st, we should be able to provide the Wi-Fi support to those families who wish to move online but do not have that access yet. So I think that's a big decision because, the board has to determine, number one, what is our position on face-to-face? And the position is we believe that that's going to be a more effective way for students to come back to the classroom, to be assessed in terms of the impact of COVID-19, and to begin the work to get our kids back on track. And as I said before, it's hard to do that when they're not in school and they're at home and you're doing everything you can to gauge their situation at home. But definitely for the hard copy learners, it's almost impossible to figure out, how they're able to do the work and whether they're learning, except from the written pieces of paper that you're getting every other week. So that's the direction. and we're going to be working really hard. We have a series of parent forums that are happening next week. It'll happen at 6 p.m. by region, starting on Monday through Thursday. That information will be on our GDOE Facebook site, and we'll be pushing it out through the media and through the schools so that families can participate. And then we'll be doing other outreach, as well beyond that. But this will just be an opportunity to let the parents know what the decisions are, answer any questions that they might have, and then if there are concerns or suggestions, to be able to take those into account. And that leaves us, really the fourth quarter and the summer to get everything lined up for the beginning of the school year. Because once we get the numbers, the goal is, once we get those numbers, we would like to, work on teachers focusing on face-to-face instruction. If you're going to be a face-to-face teacher, we want that to be the only thing that you do. And if you're going to be an online teacher, what we want to do is create an online model of learning that is completely separate from face-to-face, so that the teachers don't have to, do both and try to divide their time and divide the week up between the groups. So if we're able to fulfill that design, have a separate dedicated online model for students and a separate face-to-face model, that means that the face-to-face students can maximize, the number of days and the number of just the instructional time at school. So that's the direction. I think the only missing piece here is that we're going to be preparing our default scenario is going to be looking at the capacity of our schools with 6-foot physical distancing in place, because that is the current requirement. But knowing that the CDC is actively considering modifying it, we're going to also make plans to be able to accommodate under the 3-foot distancing. And if you think about it, 3-foot distancing really is just back to normal. I mean, that's kind of how far the kids are in the first place. So I think if they say 3-foot distancing, that's more like saying, hey, you know what, we can go back to normal class sizes. They might require, of course, a face mask. They might require sneeze guards, and we're working on all of that for the next school year, so that we can definitely meet those requirements if that, if the guidance changes.
Right. Yeah, and I think the whole knowing the numbers is going to be really important, because you also have to take into consideration the transportation, right? And that's actually something that one of our viewers is questioning. For example, when returning to face-to-face, will buses be able and ready to transport students safely, being all the seats can't be occupied, asking because prior to COVID, the buses were at full capacity at every pickup.
Right. So we did meet with the Lieutenant Governor and kind of walked him through our general plans, and of course, DPW is a big partner in that. So I think where we're working hand in hand is that the physical distancing requirements that are required at school are similar to what, to the requirements that they need to have on the buses. So if they are relaxed, so under either scenario, we have to work with DPW to ensure that they have sufficient buses, sufficient drivers to safely accommodate the students who are coming. So that is all, like you said, it's all dependent on the numbers and working through those scenarios. And but they're aware, and once we get the numbers this week, we'll be sitting down with them to think about the scenarios and really get a handle on how many buses are needed. I do know that they were focused on trying to build up their their supply of available buses in case there was a need for for further support. Of course, this school year the numbers weren't that high, so that never was a major issue. But going forward, if we do push for more face-to-face, and I think that's something that we need to get a handle on early. The other thing that the board was discussing was, as we move towards return to face-to-face, I guess recognizing that right now everybody has an option of going online. So it is possible that we go to our hard copy students and they say, well, instead of going to face-to-face, we want to go online. I think some of our board members were discussing the possibility of perhaps limiting, or at least seeing whether it was possible to encourage or mandate our younger students to have to go face-to-face if it came down to that. But at this point, that decision hasn't been made. mostly because, the physical capacity limitations at school, really prevent us from mandating everybody to go back to school if we can't, fit them all, back in the classroom. So that decision is still being handled by the board, and we'll see if there's further direction in the future meetings.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. We actually have the schedule for the forums you were talking about earlier, and we're working on posting that so parents have an idea of when and what time and the codes and everything like that to jump on to the forums. Is there any update on education stabilization funds?
Yes. So this morning I plan to finalize and submit the information to USDOE, and so we'll be able to provide those numbers generally. I know there's been a lot of interest, but I've hesitated to put more than general information out there because things change as as you finalize the numbers. So even for my board, they're eager to get the final results. So what we're going to do is this morning I'm going to just do a final discussion with the team, and we should be able to send it today. And then what we're going to do is sit down with our board. We'll provide the information as needed to kind of show the community where the funds are going. I mean, number one, first of all, it's being shared and allocated between the public, private, and charter schools. So number one, I know a lot of our community members want to know, well, how many, if we go to a private school, are we able to take advantage? And the answer is yes. And there are certain amounts associated with the private and charter schools. And then the second issue is what exactly is being purchased or supported through these funds. And I'd like to say that just in my overview of all the funding requests, a lot of it's just really focused on making schools a safe place to return. So some of it's really extending the purchases of PPEs that we've already put in place. But you have, capital improvements, restroom renovations, canopy repairs, a lot of focus on air ventilation and air filtration. Of course, there's the sneeze guards, support for temperature screens, support for the isolation room. So a lot of it really, in our first batch, a lot of it was really about personal, PPEs, and then supporting distance learning. Now there really is a lot of focus on just having, if we can get more students back into school, what do we need to put at the school facility? And let's try to get our kids back, knowing that distance learning has really been a challenge in terms of maintaining the academic progress, for students. So that's how I would describe, the general, focus of this second round of funding. And then, we'll get the details out to the community just once we've, put the pencils down and send it in.
What about the American Rescue Plan and what it brings to public schools and, for GDOE? Right. Have you been able to review it? And this is aside from, the direct appropriation, the 661.
Right. And also aside from your regular budget.
Right. So one of the issues, yes, we have been reviewing the American Rescue Act, and it's one of the things that just very, I would say difficult in some ways, is because you can read it and you say, okay, great, these are the overall amounts. But when it comes to the territories, it's not, you're not always certain until you get the final numbers from the department, and you're not always certain what that number is going to be, and also you're not certain what of the what parts of the law will actually apply in the case of the outlying areas. So that's the thing that we need to really make sure that we communicate with USDOE and get their feedback and guidance on, because even in round 2, there were some confusing parts of it where in the law it said, well, these are what the states are going to do. And so we said, okay, well, if that's the case, then is that applying to Guam? And it turns out that they didn't, that we were doing things, in a different way. So, but what I will say is, we've been estimating, I'll just, if you quote me on this, say it's an estimate, but, we were looking at somewhere around $175 to $180 million, which is a significant chunk of money. But again, it depends on the calculations and how they sort it out at USDOE, because the way it was set aside was different in this bill from the prior bills. So number 2, we will get guidance. I mean, they're supposed to turn this out within, basically within 30 days. They should have the money available. I know that our team in USAID is trying to do it, even quicker than that. But as part of getting the information about the dollar amounts, they're also going to need to provide guidance to us on the application of some of these other provisions. So, for example, there is clear provision in the law to dedicate a percentage of funding to addressing learning loss. I mean, that's obviously a concern for everybody. But is that percentage going to be applied? Because then we need to figure that part out. There seems to be a set aside for private schools within the funds, but it's the language says private schools with high populations of I believe socioeconomically disadvantaged students. So that's out there for the states. But again, last time we looked, it wasn't applied to Guam when it came down to the second round of funding. So there are things like that. There's Head Start money separate from us. From the education funding, there is separate funds for Head Start. There looks like there will be an infusion of funding into special education as well. And then we're looking to really try to unravel the funding for USDA and the food supports that we end up addressing when it comes to emergency food supplies and so forth. So again, we're reading the law to get a general sense of some of these requirements and the areas of focus, but we're going to have to wait probably a couple of weeks to make sure that we get the details in writing, so we're real clear and we're real certain about which parts apply to Guam.
Okay. All right.
Actually, I wanted to ask John. So with your budget, I know your regular budget got cut, right? But then we have the $661 million, and then you have whatever other packages are coming out from the rescue plan and whatnot. So is GDOE going to be okay? Are you? Because
I would say yes, we should be okay, and part of that is because the way I understand the laws to work and what we are going to be talking with the governor and the legislature about is, number one is that these funds that are coming to the department are really not intended to replace your local support for education. So it's not that your revenues went down, so here's some money that you can use to make up for it. There is still a maintenance of effort requirement in the federal funds, as the strings that are attached really say that you're supposed to provide at least a minimum level of support based on the past 3 years that you've been giving to the department. We want you to continue to give that funding, and then obviously use the funding that we're giving you to reopen schools, get kids back, address learning loss, address the facility needs, so that you can use this money to create the new normal for your students. If it was just a matter of take this money and replace what you would have given in the local level, then we wouldn't have the extra money to secure our schools and create safe spaces for our kids. So that's a discussion that we're going to continue to have with the legislature and the governor. We recognize the challenging financial situation, but hopefully with the funding that the Congress and the president just put out will enable us all to address these shortfalls and turn our attention to the community and to the economy with these funds that are available.
Right, because it looks like there's that, and it's already kind of brewing with what some of the Republicans are doing, but this battle to have a say in how this $661 million is going to be spent, right? I mean, I can already just see all the posturing with the legislature and the administration. So I'm just curious, with our regular non-federal budgets, it sounds like all the agencies are getting cut severely. Like we know DOC is getting, what, $3 million cut or something? And then GDOE, you guys are getting cut again. So I was thinking, I wonder if to force the governor's hand and to make her put this money where it needs to go, what if the senators defunded agencies and their appropriations that the governor's kind of taking care of? Because, she's kind of taking like care of public health or whatever. I mean, I think theoretically they could go in and de-appropriate funds. Let's say like the governor's, I'm going to spend $100 million on public health with this 661. if they do that and then maybe use some of that money that they deappropriate since the governor has it and put it over with education. Because I'm just curious. It kind of seems like we're really putting all our eggs in this $661 million basket.
Yeah, well, I don't know, how on that side of the equation, there's a lot of different factors in play. And I know for us, ours is pretty simple. We get money directly from the U.S. Department of Education to, GDOE as the state education agency. Guam law, designates me to handle those responsibilities. And, the thing that we learned in the past, if there is a lot of political noise around the funding, they like to turn the spigot off so that, they say, hold on, we're gonna put a hold on this until we figure this out and sort it out. But I don't think at least for my experience, I don't think the federal agency is going to want to see a lot of that infighting. Otherwise, they turn the spigot off, and then that's kind of the good and bad of the federal money, right?
Right.
There are some limitations and rules. I don't know what the rules are on her side, the governor's side, but I know for us, the minute people start to kind of fight about it, they put us on hold and set up a meeting and all come back to the table to figure out what's going on. So I'm hoping that we don't have a lot of that type of infighting. I know the board and we've been really working closely to make sure they understand what's happening with our money. What we're going to do again once we finalize the ESF2, we're going to share it with the board. I know they're going to want to sit down in a budget session to figure out how that impacts our budget request. And then I think the plan is to go to the legislature and with an amended budget request to recognize that some of these items are going to be funded by our federal grants, and to amend that request, and then continue to work with the legislature and the governor to meet the maintenance of effort so that we don't lose these funds for any particular reason or put them at risk. So that's our strategy.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
There
See you
you
next
go.
week.
See you
Yeah,
next
there you
week.
go. See you next week. Take care for now.
Yeah, we do have that schedule good and posted up now. The Guam Department of Education is currently, as effective today, they're starting to accepting registration for school year 2021-2022 today through Tuesday, April 9th. And in the meantime, GDOE next week will be hosting a series of online parent forums. The first one Monday, March 22nd, Thursday the 25th. They're organized by school districts and they begin at 6 o'clock. There you have the schedule. I believe Jason is posting it for Monday. It's Hadza District, Tuesday, Katan, Wednesday, Lutsen, and Thursday, Lagu.
All
And
right.
these will also be posted on our social media and also on the GDOE Facebook page.
Right on.
Also
Hey,
important, it says if your kids are turning 5 years old by July 31st, you need to register them for kindergarten.
okay.
So that is an important date to know.
All right. Guys, our friends at Burger King are proud to present Whopper Wednesday, where you go to Burger King and you say, I love the Whopper. Yell it. Say it with your chest. Mugwaidzaha Whopper!
Because what you get in return is worth saying it with your chest.
Yeah, because you're going to get a free Whopper.
Yeah, you say it with your chest, and your tummy gets full.
You buy one Whopper and then you say, Mugwaidzaha Whopper! Mess tomorrow it up. They're going to give you another Whopper. And our friend Rudy at Burger King, maybe it's because we've been dropping some heavy hints. But I got the email last night like, hey, Chris, it's Whopper Wednesday. Tomorrow Rudy is going to bring by some Whoppers and some Impossible Whoppers. And I was like, Munga, no, it's all right. Because this mess tomorrow, I made them offer 3 times. I was like, no. And he's like, no, for real, it's okay. I'm like, no, never mind. Go give it to someone else. And third time, I was like, okay, yeah, we'll take it. So what do we have here, Sabrina? Because she's been sitting next to it. I don't know how she was asking all those hardcore DOE questions, smelling that.
We have fries and
Yeah.
Whoppers, like you said.
Yeah, but we have the Impossible Whoppers, and then we have the.
Oh, it even has the recipe on it. It's the Whopper recipe, 100% flame grilled beef, tomato, lettuce, mayo, ketchup, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun. No colored flavors or preservatives for artificial sources. No MSG. No high fructose corn syrup.
Wow, I never saw that before. That's
Yeah,
cool.
me neither.
They should
Me
put
neither.
labels on all the fast food.
Oh,
Well, I'll feel good eating this Whopper. Now that I know the ingredients. Guys, so we have the vegan Impossible Whopper. All right. The Mullard Whopper, as I call it.
Have you ever tried it?
I have took a bite, yeah.
It's good.
Yeah,
It's really good.
It's impossible that it's not meat.
Yeah.
And we also have the quote-unquote traditional Whopper.
And the fries.
And the fries, okay? You guys love Burger King fries. They're good. We also got freaking tater tots, right? Are those tater tots?
Shotgun.
What do they call them in Burger King?
Tater tots.
They're called tater tots.
No.
Okay, sorry.
They're called mine.
How do you say tater tots in Burger King?
Mine.
Jude.
I'm gonna sound like those little seagulls in Finding Nemo. Mine.
Jude Ichihara Tenorio comments, it's Wednesday, no meat today, malfunction. Well, that's why we have the Impossible Whoppers, too. Guys, so Burger King is really proud to present Cover Me, which they've been sponsoring it for a while here on the link and even containing COVID. And they also did Live Local Friday. So the commitment to the local music and all things local is always there with Burger King. And they're proud to present this next episode of Cover Me, which is Jason J, proudly brought to you by Burger King. Good morning.
Take your hands off me. I've been pretty sad and drunk lately. I've been torn since the day I was born, but I never felt a pain like this. There's no remedy. This trick helps to ease the pain. Tried to wipe it off like a t-shirt stain, but it soaks another broken day. Buy me another drink and I'll be on my way. Empty bottles and empty cans. Oh, I put another one in my hand. Hey, miss, I don't want to hear your lies. I've been drinking it now for quite some time, and everything now is such a blur. And I just want to be with her. Tonight I sleep in a mermaid's bed, with the bubbles all fizzle up in my head. It's a drug that keeps me up all night, itching and twitching just to hold her tight. Yeah, oh, empty bottles and empty cans. Oh, I put another one in my hand. Empty bottles and empty cans. Oh, I put another one in my hand. Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da. Said I never be so lonely. Come into my life, girl, you make me so clever. Are the games that we're playing, tripping me out with those words that you say. Never be so lonely. Come into my life, girl, you make me so clever. Are the games that we're playing, tripping me out with those words that you say. No. Empty bottles and empty cans. Oh, I put another one in my hand. Oh, yeah. Empty bottles and empty cans. Oh, I put another one in my hand.
Jason J, awesome. Great guy. I remember he grew up in the little street that I lived on, and he was always, man, I remember when he was like middle school, high school, going around with his guitar. You're all grown up, Jason. 905 on the radio side, where KUAM FM Agotni Guam, that's just part of our multimedia broadcast extravaganza on the link, 93.9. We're proudly brought to you by East West Rental, Calvo Enterprises, IT&E, and Carrier at 647 QL. I spell it like that, Jay. It's actually COOL, but I say it like KEWL.
Ah.
QL.
So wait, so you were that one guy like in high school when people said, "Hey Chris, can you sign my yearbook?" You were like, "Can we always be friends with a Z?" You were that guy, right?
FWENZ. I was never that guy, dude. I was the guy who was like the big ass and then, sorry, so sloppy. You remember those days? Anyway.
Sorry, so sloppy.
It's 9:05. Dr. Michael who's the Physicians Advisory Group Education Committee Chair. Thanks for joining us, Doc. It's been a minute. How you doing?
Hey, I'm all right. Good morning, guys. Nice to see you guys again.
Nice to see you too.
So what's up? What's the discussion with the PAG? Are you guys like? Do they still talk about education, or is it just kind of like, hey, they're in face to face?
We haven't. Yeah, we haven't had an educational subcommittee for a while now. I think once we kind of got the ground rules in effect, it was up to the schools to take care of it, and it seems like they've been doing a pretty great job. Obviously, our cases are really low in the on island, and we haven't had any kids that we were worried about getting COVID. And most of our PAG meetings now are slowly pivoting toward the future quarantine and the different new rules. And I'm really hoping that maybe we can find a way to incorporate vaccination status. But as you can probably imagine, right now there's no way we can really verify if people really got the shot coming from off island. I mean, it's just a paper card right now. So there's going to be I'm sure there's going to be a lot of discussion going forward in the future about that.
What do you think? I mean, how do we do that at least locally? Because Dr. Hoa freaked me out. He's like, oh yeah, anybody could do the card.
You could.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean.
But he said, there is some sort of a database, right? This WebMD or WebMZ or something. But the only people that have access to it, he said, was public health. Is that correct? And is that just a local database or a national database?
So there is one for Guam. It's the immunization database that's online, and the clinics have access to it to put it in. It is only a local one though, so it's managed by the state. So I know like California had a separate one. The thing is though, like it depends on people actually putting it in, and I don't know if there's actually a way to verify if they've actually done it. So, it's just somebody at a clinic just logging it in, and then that's just in the database. But I think we just use that for reference. And right now, still the gold standard in clinics is if they come in with their little shot card with a little stamp on it. That's the gold standard for right now. So as far as can we use that maybe for returning residents down the line? I know there was some question about with people coming off island probably will have to require like a 72-hour test, but it's going to be a question of if we have residents that are going off island, and Guam's been doing a really great job of getting the vaccine out, and they come and they have their shots and they come back off island, do we still need them to quarantine? We're not sure yet. Those are questions that we're going to have to discuss and look for the data in other places to kind of rule out. So all of that, so right now, a lot of it's just a lot of stuff to discuss.
So there was no requirement or anything when public health was giving vaccines to private clinics for them to administer these shots that there's a requirement that, okay, you have to keep a record and you have to input it into or report it back to public health?
Oh, I think it definitely was.
Okay.
I'm not involved in giving the COVID vaccine, so I don't know the ins and outs of this. But as far as putting it on the Guam Web IZ, I think that's what the immunization program is called, the online database. I don't know if they have to do that, but again, I'm not involved in giving out the vaccine for COVID.
Okay. But that Web IZ, is that for all kinds of vaccinations, or is it just specifically for the... Okay.
Yeah.
I know that Dr. Nguyen was saying that there was discussions, or there's something that public health can purchase. Is that what you remember, Chris?
Say again? Sorry.
That Dr. Hoa was mentioning there was some sort of program or that public health could purchase so that we could create some kind of a database where you can check whether or not individuals have been vaccinated.
Because he brought up the same concerns as you, Doc. He said right now anybody could just counterfeit that little white card and claim they're vaccinated.
Yep. Yeah, and I don't know what it looks like from other states either. I just so who you could do like it'll be like getting a fake driver's license, I guess. Before,
And back in the day, they knew you got it because you had that thing on your arm.
But this is something that the PAG is talking about because that's kind of concerning if we're not.
Yeah, it's a big. And I mean, it's beyond just us too. I'm sure other states are trying to figure out, and other countries are trying to figure out because we're not the only places that want to open up, of course.
Right.
But how do we do it so, everybody's about as safe as they can be?
And I wonder also with the reopening of the proposed reopening of tourism on May 1st, the governor had also mentioned that they were probably going to end up changing quarantine protocols. I'm not even sure if that was for returning residents, but you're right, returning residents who have been vaccinated. It kind of seems like, I don't know what the science says, Doc, but it kind of seems like the option, right, for them to just go straight to home quarantine, if anything, should be considered. But how do we know if they're even really, really vaccinated?
Right. But I mean, for right now, for us on island, with the vaccine rolling out and the uptake that I see in the community has been a lot more robust. We're not getting the resistance that you see in a lot of places. And I think it's because we're a lot smaller and almost everybody has been hit, really personally by this, if not by a direct family member, then, by a few degrees of separation. And if everybody, if we get to the goal and getting just about everybody that can get vaccinated, I mean, we're seeing the data from the Pfizer and Moderna, it's 95%. Johnson & Johnson, even if that comes out, it's going to be like 64%. Imagine if we were all vaccinated before, like if we had a time machine and we were all vaccinated before COVID hit the island, all those hospitalizations, if we were able to cut that by like 66 to 95%, it wouldn't have been a problem on island, right? Our hospital capabilities would have been totally adequate. And life back then, or if we had it back then, life could have gone on probably as normal.
Right.
So if we imagine that the entire island is going to be vaccinated and we have some people coming in off island, with that negative 72-hour test coming in off island, the likelihood that the virus would gain a foothold and really spread quickly like we saw in our spikes, that's becomes much less of a threat, assuming, of course, that we don't get some crazy new strain that evades the vaccine, that evades quarantine.
Right. Let's talk about crazy new
Which is a
strain.
big assumption.
Yeah, because I mean, we heard a lot about these variants when they first came out, but I mean, and I do pretty routine Googles. I haven't really seen a whole lot about it, and we're still waiting for the results from the samples we sent off to the CDC. So just, I mean, as as a doctor, what you read, what are you finding out, and what do you know about the variants and the threat that they pose?
So the most encouraging finding is that they don't seem to be evading the vaccine completely. It seemed like with some of the strains, and I forget which ones exactly, maybe the current vaccines are just a little bit less effective, but still, better than nothing. With some of these strains, I think the Brazilian one and maybe the South African one, they were much more contagious. So not necessarily more deadly, but just on the terms of absolute numbers, if just more of the population gets it, then more people are going to need hospitalization and more it'll be higher mortality in absolute terms. So as long as we keep getting vaccinated, we're doing the right thing, and people are still really good about social distancing and wearing masks, washing their hands, and everybody's doing the right thing.
Right. Are you kind of keeping track of what's happening over in the CNMI? How they had like a spike of like 10 cases after going without 200 days of community spread, and then come to find out that the first person, it was on Friday night, he's 147, right? He tested positive even after being fully vaccinated.
And then through the contact tracing, they found out that he had spread it to other people.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. As an asymptomatic.
I have not. I haven't read up on that. I just kind of saw the headlines and caught snippets of your interview with somebody yesterday.
Yeah.
That mentioned that. I would need to know more details before I start,
Okay.
putting out possible thoughts on what might have caused that. The vaccine, though, the Pfizer Moderna, it is 95% effective, so it isn't 100% effective. I guess there's that's one possible thing that could have happened, but I would need more information.
All right.
When's the next meeting? Thursday? Tomorrow?
Yeah, Thursday, tomorrow. Yeah.
What's on the agenda?
We'll
Do you
see.
guys get like an agenda, or is it just you show up and are they in person or Zoom?
It's all Zoom still.
Okay.
We haven't had an in-person meeting since, I don't know,
right
before August, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, probably talking more about possible quarantine guidelines. That's just been kind of, something to kind of mull around and keep talking about and figure out. It's never super quick. There's a lot of stuff to discuss and consider. A lot of viewpoints to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about viewpoints, what was your viewpoint on this back and forth? It's been kind of quiet between Dr. Cabrera and Dr. Shea. I mean, this was hot, and now we haven't heard anything.
Oh, somebody else showed that to me briefly. I was having a really busy week because that's why I had to reschedule you guys with the hospital and clinic, and I really haven't been keeping up with it. So
I'll send it to you.
Going on?
Yeah. It sounds like you don't want to get involved.
But yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
There you go. All right, we'll give you an
good answer. Good
we'll
answer.
Give you now, Doctor. Doctor. Yeah, don't be asking me that. Okay, Doc.
Thanks, Doc.
All right, great seeing you guys.
Okay, see you. Yeah, be safe, Dr. Michael 917. Let's go ahead and play this interview here on CNN. It's Congressman Michael St. Nicholas Bree.
Yeah, he was interviewed by CNN host anchor regarding the whole cookie gate or Operation Cookie Drop. And, she tried to take him to task, but, I got to appreciate his responses. So if we have that video,
ready?
All right, let's play.
There you go.
In her brief time in Congress, Georgia Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene has been no stranger to controversy, and yet even now she finds herself embroiled in a new one, and it involves her wanting knowledge of U.S. geography and history after saying this last month at CPAC.
I'm a regular person, and I wanted to take my regular person, normal, everyday American values, which is we love our country. We believe our hard-earned tax dollars should just go for America, not for what? China, Russia, the Middle East, Guam, whatever.
There is just one problem, of course. Guam is not a foreign country. It is a U.S. territory, and it has been since 1898. People born there are U.S. citizens. Some of them fight in the U.S. military as citizens. And it's not a foreign nation, as Greene would have her supporters believe. To make that point, on Monday, Guam's lone delegate in Congress visited Greene's congressional office, and he did so with a few dozen members of Guam's National Guard to deliver a box of cookies he promised to the Congresswoman after her comments surfaced. She was not there to accept, but an aide came out and thanked the service members.
Thank you guys so much for all. Thank you guys so much for all that you do. We really appreciate it. Thank you guys for keeping us safe. The Congresswoman should be back hopefully in the next 30 minutes or so, and I know that she would love to meet all of you and say hi and just tell you how much she appreciates the hard work that you guys do.
Joining me now is the Democratic delegate of Guam, Michael St. Nicholas. Thank you, Congressman, for being with us today to talk about this. Look, I understand that you wanted to make a point here, and that, of course, it is very important to your constituents that Guam is recognized. They are Americans, and that is certainly not in doubt or should not be in doubt. I know a number of your supporters, I'm sure, have told you they like what you did, but I wonder if you you think about any of the negative ramifications that there could be here for the military taking the National Guard as part of this group with you to Congresswoman Taylor Greene's office?
Yeah, we don't see that at all.
Yeah, we don't see that at all, actually. We were taking our guardsmen on a tour of the Capitol. We actually visited multiple member offices. We tried to deliver cookies to Congresswoman Greene. We delivered a local dish from Guam, chicken kelaguen, to our Speaker's office, to our Majority Leader's office, to our Majority Whip's office. So we were very honored to be able to take our guardsmen on a tour. It was maybe the third one that I've done while they've been out here. And, they're very honored to meet members of Congress. And we were really hopeful to be able to meet Congresswoman Greene. But we were able to meet Majority Whip Clyburn, and that was a real special moment for them.
But in this case, I understand you went to Clyburn's office. But this is Congresswoman Taylor Greene, who said something stupid about Guam, and this obviously highlights negatively those comments. I know that you're getting a lot of criticism from conservatives, from her supporters, but you are also getting a lot of criticism from civilian military experts who would in no way defend the Congresswoman's comments. And they are critical of you, an elected official, using military service members as they see it as political props. What do you say to that criticism?
That criticism is unfounded. We were not at all using military service members for political props. I was taking my guardsmen on a tour of the Capitol, and we stopped by several members' offices, and we delivered some goodies. Cookies should never be considered a political prop, and neither should our military. But goodwill is absolutely something that we wish to extend from Guam to everybody. And my guardsmen wish to extend the same, and we're very honored to be able to facilitate that.
I'm sure you're aware of, during the convention, there were uniformed guard members who appeared on video as part of the American Samoa representatives. And that was actually something that members of the military, or at least their supervisor, got in trouble for. They were disciplined for that. That is a possibility in situations like this. Why would you put them in that position of potentially being investigated?
I don't think we put them in that position.
I don't think we put them in that position at all. As I mentioned before, we've taken them on multiple tours. I was actually visited by other high-ranking guardsmen in my office, and we really shouldn't be looking for reasons to go
Here's
after.
my question. Was a video shot of it with dramatic music? Was this done in a way that would have cast negative light on you? That's really the question here, because this does put them in a tough spot. I hear you're saying it doesn't, but it does.
Actually, my Adjutant General back on Guam is even expressing very supportive language of the actions we've taken. Guam is a very goodwill community. We were going around delivering goodies and going around to say hello, and I think that that's a very appropriate thing to do, especially when certain members of Congress may not be very familiar with Guam, and we're going to continue with that outreach. That's a very positive thing to do, and I'm very, very grateful that the country is, getting to know Guam as we speak. What is something that we should be more concerned about, though, is the fact that we're blowing situations like this out of proportion when we are completely ignorant to the fact that this is actually the 500th anniversary of colonialism on Guam. 1521 was when Guam became a colony, and we continue to be an unincorporated territory in the United States. And, we have guardsmen, we have servicemen. They're unable to vote for their members of Congress to vote on the floor, and they're unable to vote for electoral college representation to elect a commander-in-chief. Those are the things we should be talking about. How are we putting Americans in harm's way when they're not even able to elect the people who are making those decisions? I think that's something we should be talking about, not cookies and going and saying hello. Let's talk about these men putting their lives on the line, these women putting their lives on the line. And I'm a Gold Star family member. We lost the eldest of my St. Nicholas clan in Afghanistan. So we don't have any disrespect or dishonor towards the military. On the contrary, we want to go and we want to say hello, we want to spread goodwill, and we want the country to know about Guam, from Congress, the president, all the way down to the American people. And I am very grateful for President Biden being the first president to include states, tribes, and territories in his inaugural address. And I think that's a step in the right direction. I'm very much looking forward to the leadership of this administration.
And I thank your family certainly for its sacrifice. I think that is something that Americans would share in, and they see that. All those issues you talked about, I think those are incredible issues that should be discussed. But why bring the military into it? Why put them in this position? I mean, just so have you heard? There are experts who do not. They're not being political. They're saying, look, the military is in a unique position in this country, and that it has tremendous esteem compared to other countries. That derives from the fact that they are seen as apolitical. And when you use them in a political stunt, a video like this where there is dramatic music, they say that long term there are negative effects, that this gets put into the basket of using the military in a political way, whether it's the Trump administration sending them to the border, which is something, you know, the DNC, your party's platform said that it was going to stop the politicization of the military. Do you take any of that? I mean, do you take any of that criticism and think perhaps about what this moment is beyond raising awareness about Guam?
I'm going to leave the military's determination of the event to the military. I don't think anybody should be going out and calling themselves an expert and speaking on behalf of the military. I think experts would know that the military is going to discern this based on their own analysis and make a determination.
I just want to be clear. They aren't speaking on behalf of the military.
Right,
They're
and so
speaking
let's
on behalf of civilian-military relations.
Let's let the military make those determinations, and I would encourage people to look at our other videos. I have other videos of dramatic music, of my guardsmen in the rotunda, the heart of the Capitol, with us facilitating a promotion ceremony for 3 of our guardsmen. You know, so I think that the ones who are politicizing this and trying to turn this into a greater thing than it is not our office and absolutely not my guardsmen and not the people of Guam. You know, we're just going around spreading goodwill and delivering cookies and snacks. But, you know, I think that there are bigger things that we need to be talking about when it comes to Guam, when it comes to service members, when it comes to the sacrifices they're making for this country and how those sacrifices are underrepresented. But as far as us bringing the military into anything, I was giving my guardsmen a tour. We were going around saying hello and spreading goodwill. And actually that statement is very much shared with our Guard leadership back home. And if there's going to be anything that the military is going to look at, we would absolutely welcome it, because there was absolutely no ill intent and no politicization whatsoever.
Delegate, I want to thank you so much for coming on to talk with us about so many important issues today. Congressman.
All right, that was Congressman Michael St. Nicholas. He was interviewed by CNN today, and you heard his response to what happened with the Chamorro chip cookie delivery to Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. So after the cookie drop, she actually posted on Twitter calling out his use of the National Guard service members, tweeting, "It's time for our great men and women of the National Guard to go home and be with their families. The Democrats need to stop using them as political theater and drama on Capitol Hill. Shame on Democrats for disrespecting our military." And so we're going to go into the Zoom room where we have got the spokesperson for the National Guard, Mark Scott. Good morning.
Morning.
Up-a-day, Bree, Chris. How you guys doing? Jason Joser, people of Guam. Up-a-day.
We're doing pretty good. I guess we just wade right into this thing. What did the congressman disrespect the military by having them along for the ride when he delivered the cookies and the Kelligwin?
Did he disrespect the military, Chris? That's really a matter of opinion. And there's a whole bunch of opinions out there. Like the congressman said, it's something that's been politicized. You know, it's something that everyone can chime in on. And, you know, I'll tell you guys, we don't mind that. It's freedom of speech. It's something that we defend and we fight for. So by all means, you know, keep the opinions coming, and that's fine. What I want to offer really is some facts. So, you know, if anyone's interested in knowing what the regulation says, what the Department of Defense directive says, I'm here to talk about those things. But there is one thing I want to say first, if you guys will let me. I want to say welcome home to the troops that went over there to the DC-2 mission, Capital Response. You raised your hands when the country asked for you, and you answered the call. Now that you are home, they're in the quarantine facility. We want to say thank you for your service, and thank you for your sacrifices. And I think that's important to not forget, you know, in the middle of this, I guess, opinion circus, you could say, that we want to say thank you to those soldiers who are now home. So there.
The soldiers that were in the video?
That's right.
Okay.
They're in quarantine? They didn't get an essential pass?
Not in this case, Chris, because their mission is complete. They do have some things to do. like they're out processing their travel vouchers, medical checks, and so forth. But being that their task has been completed, they're both, a lot of them are going back to their drill status. They're not considered critical service workers, so they're in quarantine.
How did it kind of play out, though, with the congressman and the guard? Did he, like, make a request for them to accompany him, or he was just going around on a tour and they're like, hey, let's swing by and do this?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Chris. So we saw it here on their agenda. They were invited on a tour of the facilities by our Congressman, Michael St. Nicholas. And, you know, in goodwill, they saw a bunch of different sites. They toured around the building. They visited different people. And one of those stops, which we're all talking about, is Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think most of us have seen the video at this point. Opinions aside, you know, whether or not you think it was a storming of the Capitol or an assault or an ambush or we had combat gear or not, you know, the facts are there. They're clear in the video, and they're also clear in the regulations. And I'd like to address that a little bit too.
Okay.
There seems to be some confusion about what's right and what's not. So I have it open here in front of me. It's called the Department of Defense, Directive 1344.10. Say it again. Department of Defense Directive 1344.10. And what that regulation does, you guys, is that it governs the political activities by members of the armed forces. No, I'm not a lawyer, but I can open a book and read it very clearly. It's in black and white there, the things that you can do and not do. The real point of contention that it says here is that you cannot participate in partisan political activity. And that's the key word right there, you guys. Partisan. So what is partisan political activity? The regulation actually defines it in enclosure 2. And I know we're going into the weeds, but I think it's important to show the facts, right? For anyone out there who might be confused that we violated UCMJ, this is important to know. Partisan political activity is defined as activity supporting or relating to candidates representing or issues specifically identified with national or state political parties. Candidates. So by this regulation and the definition of partisan political activities, there was no one saying that Democrats are better than anyone else or Republicans are better. There's no one holding campaign signs, wearing shirts, advocating for a candidate by definition. So our troops did nothing wrong. They were on a tour of the Capitol as invited by our congressman. It was a cultural token of goodwill, bringing cookies and an informal introduction. There was no assault. There was no storming of the Capitol, and there was no violation of the regulation. So I hope those facts could be added to this conversation and to this dialogue, that they're well within the regulation as stated by the DOD directive.
Mark, that being said, would this be something that the Guard would do again?
I would wish they would do it again. You know, being that there's nothing illegal, immoral, unethical, or unsafe about what they did, there's no regret, and there should not be any folding to any public court of opinion, especially if it comes from a fringe. And it doesn't matter which fringe. Right is right, it's black and white in the regulation. And if they had an historical experience to visit the Capitol, to meet their representative, to learn some of the culture of our great nation that they fight for and they defend, then let it happen again. Because again, there's nothing done that was illegal, immoral, unethical, or unsafe.
Just representing Guam.
Representing Guam, and I think they might have had some of those Chamorro chip cookies if they didn't all go to waste.
Does it matter? I mean, did they have to wear their uniform on this tour?
Did they have to wear their uniform?
Yeah.
I'm not too sure about that, Bree. You know, they were at the end of their tour. They had completed their job. We call it mission complete, and they were getting ready to roll out. So whether or not they had to be in their uniform, Bree, I don't know about that. Could they have worn something else? I don't know. They might have come from some kind of out processing requirement where they had to have their uniform on. I can find that out for you. But the bottom line is that they were not out of the regulation.
And invitations like this, tours like this that are hosted by the congressman's office, are they kind of like routine? Are they typical?
Yeah, you can actually book a tour if you go on the, with any congressman, even St. Nicholas, his house website. There's a little thing there. You book a tour, and then him or I guess a staffer will
Right, but he invited them, right? He invited them, right? And is that something that the congressman, does? He invites our National Guard members that are on assignment there?
That's right. Yes, Bree. And it's important to remember that when our break area during the cold months of January was in a parking garage while on shift, it was our congressman who came and drove at 1 a.m. to open up his office so they could have a warm place during their break. When we had promotion ceremonies and award ceremonies, it was our congressman who gave us the honor of conducting these ceremonies in the rotunda. So he's been present, he's been supportive, and this isn't the first time, for anyone with an opinion that thinks it was a political stunt. No, this wasn't a one-off event where he just used the guard. He's been there for us. He's been there to assist us. He's had community outreach, give us some tons of food and appreciation over the months that we've been there.
But Mark, I mean, I just want to say that he's also posted these videos on his campaign Facebook page, like specifically the one you're talking about where he went to visit the Guard members while they were on their lunch break. And so when you have a video, and I mean, yeah, I get it that yes, please go shelter the Guards people, first of all. But when you start documenting it from start to finish and posting it up on your campaign Facebook page, it seems to me like it's kind of like campaigning. Because it's a campaign Facebook
going back
page.
To the regulation,
everything on that page is paid for with campaign funds.
So yeah, going back to the regulation, Chris, I think it's important to remember that the attendance at a campaign event or a partisan political event is what is against the regulation.
Right.
If they're having lunch and someone decides to take that footage and later use it as a campaign at a later date, that's when it would become a campaign event, but not at the time they were just having lunch.
Right.
So yes, the intent does matter, but when it comes to the congressman's intent, it's probably best to ask him. But as far as the regulation is concerned, these events were not partisan, nor were they campaign events.
Correct. I totally agree, but I'm just saying that if you video the Guardsmen and you post them up on your campaign page, then it's a campaign, whether or not it's an event or whatever. It becomes political, right? When you try and capitalize on it in a political way.
Which one?
But that's not what happened here.
Which one is his campaign page?
Responsible Guam.
Okay. He has a couple.
He has a few different Facebook.
Let me look.
Yeah, Chris, I would talk with a congressman about that.
I didn't see that on his Responsible Guam Facebook page. I saw it on the Congressman St. Nicholas Facebook page.
The 1 a.m. driving with my hat to go rescue the Guard. Anyway, so who's next? How come we didn't go see Hank Green? This is the congressman who said that Guam was going to tip over. I mean, if we're doing outreach, like let's make a list and go see all these.
Yeah.
You remember
he
that
wasn't
guy?
in office when Hank made that statement.
Right, yeah. Was he still a congressman?
And if I'm not,
Hank?
If I'm not mistaken,
Yes,
we
he
didn't
was.
have a...
No, still now?
Oh, I don't know if he might be.
That was another.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, we didn't have guardsmen deployed to...
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, no, I'm making light of it.
I got you, man.
Right on.
Yeah, I didn't see it on there.
Go ahead. Hey, what about the... Are we done? You good?
Yeah, I'm fine.
What about the vaccination clinic? I heard there was a little... Well, I had a friend who went to go get their shot, and then they had booked their appointment through Eventbrite, and they were told that they had to shut down operations at the UOG Cabo Fieldhouse yesterday, and had to rebook for today. Did something happen there with the... Well, what happened, I guess, first of all?
Yeah, I got a call from one of the patients at the clinic yesterday. Actually, I was notified that there was that issue, and this individual and his wife booked an appointment, and they were in the parking lot, and the time had lapsed, or the time was starting to lapse. So this individual left the parking lot, and that's when I gave him a call. I said, "Hey, what happened?" He said, "Hey, there was some confusion about my appointment time, and it was already 30 minutes past. Should we turn back?" And that was already, by the time we talked, Chris, it was already after closing time. So it was unfortunate. There was a miscommunication, and I talked to this guy, and I said, "Hey, whenever you go back tomorrow, I'm going to meet you there personally. We're sorry that this happened, and I'm going to escort you in and your wife myself. Just give me a call whenever you want to walk in, and this is today. I'll make sure that I get you to the front of the line." So these things do happen, Chris. We try to make them right as much as we can. We try to do the best we can to right the wrongs. But these things do happen. It's not perfect.
Was there also another hiccup earlier this week?
Not that I'm tracking. Do you know more about it? Maybe I could find out.
I don't. I'm just checking.
Yeah, we encourage people, even me personally, just to reach out. If you had a bad experience or if you know of a way that we can improve, we want to do that. We want to know about our issues so we can fix them and provide better services to the people. Please don't be afraid to reach out. My email is out there, guamguardpao@gmail.com, and help us do better, please.
Any update with the quarantine facilities?
No change yet. Chris, is still steady state operations. Since it is PCOR 3 and we're starting to get closer and closer towards herd immunity, we will be looking for ways to hand these tasks back, whether it's to the civil authorities or to the hotel staff, who I'm sure could use their jobs back at this point. Yeah, and that's what's being looked at right now. But as of today, no change.
Right on.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, thank you guys for your support and for the dialogue. And once again, welcome home to the troops. Thank
welcome
you.
home.
Hey, man. Right on. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Mark Scott, Guam Guard PAO. He's actually in the Guard, but then I guess his role as public affairs officer for both the Air and the Army Guard is conducted as a civilian.
All right. And I'm going to send you over, Jason, the Department of Defense directive that Mark was citing. Again, that's 1344.10. So you all can take a look at it and share your opinion.
It's 9:41. We'll take a quick break and come back with more of the link. Jibwick, Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. They're doing their lunchtime peace talk, so we'll catch up with Dr. Christiana Whitman on that. Coming up next here on The Link. Good morning.
Can't find a designated driver? We'll bring the party to you. The Bottle Shack is now available on Uno Go, delivering your favorite beers, wines, and spirits to your door safely. Visit uno-go.com or download the app today. Also follow them on Instagram and Facebook. Enjoy responsibly.
Only one company on Guam provides every solar energy solution under one roof, Micronesia Renewable Energy. You want solar only? They got that. You want solar with batteries? They got that too. You want outright purchase or lease purchase? It's up to you. Does your solar system need a tune-up? That's what they do. For solar energy solutions from A to Z, you can count on MRE. Give them a call at 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, providing real solar solutions built by real solar experts.
Catch a wave of fish and seafood available throughout the Lenten season at King's Restaurant. The Lent menu has a tsunami of all your favorites like deep fried parrotfish, fried calamari, and the Lent sampler. All are sure to be a splash hit. It's the Lent menu at King's.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Half a day. Does your child have a hearing loss? We are parents of deaf and hard of hearing children and volunteers with Guam's Positive Parents Together, and we are here for you. We know how you feel and have walked in your shoes. We want to help you navigate your way through our educational and medical systems, and most especially, your emotional journey. Please visit us at www.guamparents.org for more information.
Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
KUAM Communications salutes women small business entrepreneurs during Women's History Month with a special community feature, Women Driven. Every Monday in March, tune into KUAM News Primetime for a showcase of women entrepreneurs working in our community and the businesses they own and operate. Also catch the daily women-driven profiles, flooding the digital media platforms of KUAM News for professional features on many of these hardworking women. Celebrate Women's History Month with Women Driven on the multi-platforms of KUAM, presented by Cars Plus and Bank of Guam.
Swim on in for Ruby Tuesday Seafood Sensations and enjoy your favorites from the sea in perfect time for Lent. Get hooked on lobster mac and cheese, the salmon loco moco, or the deep sea pasta. There's a bounty waiting for you on the RT Seafood Sensations menu at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
Join KUAM and Punta Dos Montes for the Mes Chamorro Masterclass Series, an informative digital series for demonstrations throughout Mes Chamorro. Catch the Mes Chamorro Masterclass Series weekly on the KUAM News Facebook page, the KUAM YouTube channel, and every Saturday in March following the KUAM News Weekend Edition at 6:30 p.m. on TV8 and 7:30 on TV11. We'll highlight Guam's talented crafters and artisans teaching artisanal skills of our Chamorro heritage. Viva Mes Chamorro! From Punta Dos Montes and KUAM Communications. See KUAM.com for the complete Mes Chamorro Masterclass series schedule.
We got your 6
at 6 a.m. with the link on Breeze 93.9 FM. Bree and I connect you with all the latest news and information you need to know to start your day.
Then check back with Guam's news leader at 6 p.m. for the day's top headlines with KUAM News Primetime.
From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and everything else in between with KUAM Digital, we got your 6.
Stories and tips that inspire healthy diets, relationships, and lives is the focus of a new KUAM News feature, Here's to Your Health. Catch a preview on Tuesday mornings on the link, then tune in each Tuesday evening for the home, health, and lifestyle edition of KUAM News Extra for this informative new feature to keep health and wellness at the top of your priority list. Brought to you by American Medical Center, your partner in healthcare. Here's to Your Health, Guam.
Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. The largest selection of your seafood favorites are back at KFC this Lent season. Popcorn shrimp, the wasabi fish sandwich, shrimp and crab Kellogg's wrap, and my personal favorite, KFC shrimp burger. Or treat the family with my breaded shrimp, fish fillets, and the seafood twister. The Colonel's famous original recipe, extra crispy and grilled chicken, are always available too. KFC, your place for Lent. It's finger-licking good.
Join the 33rd Annual Rainbows for All Children 3.5 Run Walk for Youth. And we've gone viral. Early registration $15. Late registrations $20. Register in Marks and Anigua or Goody Sporting Goods in Upper Tumon. Virtual race dates March 13th to the 26th. Choose your date and must complete in 1 day. Please pick up finisher's packet at the Micronesia Mall Galleria at 7:15 a.m. Saturday, March 27th. Bring bib and complete the results. First 500 will receive commemorative medallion. 7:45 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Fantastic raffle prizes drawings virtual streamed live at the Micronesia Mall Center Court. You do not have to be present to win. Thanks to our community partners, Micronesia Mall, McDonald's of Guam, Dr. D Chiropractic and Nutrition Services, the Guam Daily Post, Santa Barbara Catholic School, Guam Web TV, ASC Trust, DNA Inc., Father Duenas Memorial School, and the KUAM Care Force. Special thanks to our continued community contributors. For more information, call Marie at 632-0257. Try McDonald's oven-baked apple pie wrapped in a warm sugar-glazed crust. Pair it with a hot premium roast McCafe coffee. And remember to use our takeout, drive-thru, or download our mobile app and pick up curbside. At McDonald's, I'm loving it.
The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage, with generations of Filipinos calling Guam home. KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by the Bank of Guam and KFC. Learn more about our region on the One Micronesia Update every Friday on KUAM News Morning Show, The Link, presented across the multimedia platforms of KUAM. Catch the broadcast on Breeze 93.9 FM on KUAM TV 8 or TV 11, live streaming through the KUAM News Facebook page, or view highlights on YouTube, KUAM News Facebook, and Instagram. One Micronesia Updates bring us together with important regional information. Don't miss it. Brought to you by Taco Bell. Live Mas.
Celebrating Chamorro Month, Whopper Wednesday is back. Every Wednesday in March, visit participating Burger Kings and say, I love, love, love the Whopper. Top off your Whopper meal with onion rings, jalapeno bites, and a refreshing Coca-Cola. Remember to wear your mask and stay safe. Enjoy your Whopper Wednesday at Tumon Bay, Agotnia, and Micronesia Mall. Si dus maasi from your friends at Burger King.
The Link. Here on Breeze 93.9